well.
Good bounce though. Nearly took his glove.
Ashes final ball, lot straighter, and it's defended down the wicket by Burns. No run there, and England moved to 20-0. It's a good start. Good first 10 overs for England.
Dave Carpenter's joined us. He says, morning from Bali. Shame no Mo, but great to be batting first. It's a mere 28. He says 28% here, but I think he means 28 degrees. That's nice. It's not that cold here at the moment, actually.
No, it's quite warm, actually. Well, for February, it's...
Mild.
Yeah. Grim, though.
You're indoors with the heating on.
Well, yeah.
I was outside earlier on with the neighbour's cat, so...
Is the neighbour turned up yet, or is he still cat sitting?
He's back, but the cat's refusing to go, into his house.
That's what happens. That's what I mean. I told you, you get to own the cat now.
I know.
Change of bowling here. It's being replaced.
Shall I play his jingle again? I shall do, because I quite like it. And now the Monty Bumrah. Oh, you're bowling again, aren't you? Oh, I thought as much.
That's an old jingle, isn't it? That's Prike in Munich, isn't it?
No, that's not.
Is it not?
No, I don't think it is. And you wonder, actually,
jingler?
How tired India's players are after that series in Australia.
2 slips under gully, and the first ball goes through the slip cordon as it's a thick edge by Sibley, and I can't remember who's at first slip there. Kohli runs, chases back, and they'll get through for a single.
Went through second, didn't it? All on the ground anyway, it's not a problem.
Went through Kohli.
No, that's Rohit, isn't it?
Oh, that's Rohit, yes, it is Rohit. You
can tell by the size of the belly.
Yes, he's enjoyed his pakoras during lockdown for sure.
It certainly has. So
that's an interesting point you make, Bear, about their tiredness after the Australian game, though.
Well, yeah, I mean...
You wonder.
You do wonder. I mean, it was interesting to see how refreshed England looked when they went to Sri Lanka. Just the joy of... I mean, some of the players who have been actually, like Root, had pretty much 4 months off. So sort of reassess your life, and this is what you do for a living. It must be quite fulfilling to actually get back into it rather than being on the constant grind, you know what I mean?
Bumrah continues so he's down the leg side. It's swiped at by Burns rather. No run there as the ball goes through, tightly taken by Pant. No run. I suppose, a lot of these Indian players have been in a bio bubble since almost a year. I mean, think just before the IPL.
Yeah.
That they've been in one, and they've been away from their family and friends for a long time, and obviously some of them didn't even get their family over to Australia because I think the rules were sort of relaxed very late on, and they couldn't organise everything. It's tough. I think it's tough living in a bio bubble for sure. Bumrah continues. This is a good ball outside of off stump, and they go for a quick single. Burns plays it out onto the offside. There's definitely a run-out chance by Nadeem. I think they'll go for an overthrow as well, so they'll come back for 2. That was a sharp chance. A bit hesitant actually, I think, with the call by Burns.
No, I think Burns went, and it went straight to the fielder, and he was straight off, and Sibley didn't move, did he?
Oh.
And then the throw came in. I mean, it went straight to the fielder. There wasn't a run there, and then there was, because there was an overthrow. I think he'd have got back just. It would have been close,
Don't they talk anymore?
They don't talk anymore. There's a song there.
Yeah.
Who's that by?
Cliff.
Cliff, that's right. Oh, fuck. Yeah, Cliff.
There was never a run there. It was a bit crazy decision making. I think India will like that if their minds aren't straight. Bumrah continues to Sibley on his legs, so
nice shot.
Needs a drink for Dom Sibley, and it's going to go for one of these. I was going to say it's been cut off by deep square leg, and they only get the 3. That was a good bit of work on the boundary edge. Actually, it's the big foot down by Nadeem there.
Yeah, it was.
Nadeem, was it?
No, they're going to look at that, aren't they? They're going to spend about 3 minutes now looking at this, and what's this touching the ball? And is it
a Paytm look?
I don't know. Did he put a spike through the? It's tricky, isn't it? Because his foot touches it there.
It is. He stood on it. No, I think it's okay. I think
it's just okay. He could have broken his ankle, and he probably.
But I think it's okay. He's literally trod on the ball about 2 centimetres away from the boundary rope.
Yeah, could have rolled his ankle nastily there.
Very easily.
Really easily, and also spiked the ball and taken a whole load of leather out of one side, I imagine. Unless the ball starts doing crazy things, they'll probably look at it and be complaining about a change of ball in about 2 overs.
Exactly. Someone will be holding onto a piece like that.
Yeah.
And letting the ball sort of dangle once it's holding a little bit of loose leather.
Well, they've decided it's not 4.
Yep, I think the umpire is happy with that, and it is going to be 3 runs. So somehow, I was going to say, good bit of work there. But yeah, could have cost him some injury. Bumrah continues, though. 2 burns round the wickets. And this was just short of a good length. And the good pace and carry is left alone by Burns. It's very few balls have sort of had that sort of pace and carry. This is one of them. I think the bounce has been okay, but it's just slightly on the slower side. Very, very little lateral movement.
No. Well, hopefully that will increase as the game goes on, as England pile on 600 runs and India come out and struggle.
Yeah, I think sort of reverse swing also can be a factor in India after sort of about 40 overs, so it'll be interesting if that ball starts to reverse then.
Well, and if it's got a decent seam, it may well do as well.
As this next ball from Bumrah just outside of off stump, and it's played defensively by Burns on the outside edge of his outside half of his bat. Ball goes out into the Slip Gordon, no run there, and that's the end of the 11th over, and it's England off 25 without loss.
Moggs says, hold tight onto that grudge, Bear, drag it to the grave with you.
I've always got a grudge, mate. I've always got a grudge.
Knackles says, Graham Swan was in the media yesterday recommending that Jack Leach be, quote, deadly boring with his lines and lengths in these series.
Well, that's the key. I think you've got to find a line and length and just keep doing it there. I mean, if you look at that's exactly what the Jadeja does. You know, he finds the line, he finds the length. You play around a little bit with your flight, but you just try and keep it on that line and length, and occasionally drag it a little bit wide, attempt them into a drive, and hope the pitch does the work. And you know, if it does, you start taking wickets.
Bit of a tit, Swanee, but you've got to listen to him when it comes to spin bowling, haven't you?
Well, same with Warney, isn't it?
Well. Ashwin continues to Sibley. This one's a slightly straighter ball, and it's defended on the front foot. No run there.
It's the same with bloody Shane Warne. He talks an absolute load of crap most of the time, but actually when he talks about spin, he is interesting to listen to, but most of the time he's not.
Yeah, just cut out all the other stuff.
Straighter ball from Ashwin, not much turn there. It's worked onto the leg side, fielded by short leg gully, sort of, and no run there.
Just looking at this, most wickets with the new ball is Ravi Ashwin.
Wider of off stump, again drags Sibley onto the front foot, but it's defended well, no run there.
Most wickets with the first new ball, 20 overs in India since January 2002. Ravi Ashwin has got...
Yes, 50, quite significantly more than anyone else.
Yeah.
He does like bowling with that hard new ball. So this one is a straighter line that's worked onto the leg side, but there'll be no run there. It can't beat the infield.
And this is a bit early because we've only had 11 overs on day one. But were England to win this game?
Ashwin continues, just targeting that front pad, but again defended well by Sibley, and no run there.
On a pitch that's prepared like this, what would happen?
For England to win, I think
if England won on this pitch,
Ashwin, this time played not so confidently by Sibley. It's sort of tried to play it onto the leg side, actually get the outside half of the bat, squirts out on the offside, and it'll get through for a single. That's the end of the 12th over. England are 26 without loss.
It's time for a change. Messi is coming on, and Ollie should be coming back if he's there. I'm going to take over ball by ball, and I presume it's a drinks break as well. So we'll see you later. Are you back on for the last session, Avi?
Not for a lot. I'm back on towards the end of this session.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
We'll see you. We'll see you in half an hour.
We'll see you in a bit then. Okay.
Well. See you in a bit. All right, Jez, morning. It's early. I've been up since 3. And morning, Ollie. And
morning, Bear.
Yeah, you're on mute, Messi. Get rid of your picture, Avi.
Yeah, sorry about that. So Warren is with us. He says the bear might have the only latchkey lockdown kids.
Nah, mine they're very self-sufficient, my kids, I just have to say, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite a lackadaisical dad, I have to say. I monitor them. I monitor them to make sure they're doing their work, and that's about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Leah says that's no coaster, that's the lid of the container. She's got the whole set as well. She's sent a picture of the set of the lids of containers with rockets and things on. Herbaceous says, am I the only one to detect a sneering tone in almost everything Graham Swan says? No, you're not. I think a lot of us do. And Mark Zip says, Daniel Harris, please let Archie Chrisman, first over, know that they can hear the full ball-by-ball coverage in the USA on Guerrilla Cricket, and goes on to promote us. Thanks, Mark. As ever, you're a wonderful support. Anna Forsyth says, come on, guys. Marty Bum by the Arctic Monkeys, one of my favourite songs.
Indeed. A great song, great lyrics. I'm going to give you some YouTube chat. I am Malik Chowdhury, says, good morning from India. Found this new channel and loving it. Thanks, Ian. Dave Carpenter says, I assume they will alternate Broad and Jimmy. Can't see Wood getting a game unless there are injuries. That's probably true. You'd think they'd probably go Joff for the whole series, won't they? Because he'll offer the change-up, which is why you think maybe Wood will get a game later in the series. What do you reckon, Ollie?
Yeah, I think I can't imagine any of them playing all four. Bringing Wood in, maybe the third test. Isn't there a day and night test?
Yeah,
isn't the test day and night? Maybe that due to the bit of ball zipping around. But I was fascinated in my break. I've got the Indian TV channel on in Dubai here, and Sunil Gavaskar was kind of claiming he had no idea what his pitch was going to do. He said he's never seen a pitch like this before here. And the last 5 first-class games, the first innings scores averaged 305 in the first innings.
Well, that's
good.
It. Prepared by this groundsman? We don't know that, do we?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's apparently he's been preparing pitches for under 19s and all sorts of stuff for a while, and had lots of advice.
Sorry.
Go for it, Jez.
Mayank makes a good point, I think. He says, India is definitely nursing a major hangover post-Australia. The travelling, extra quarantine again, Chennai, and downtime after so much adrenaline will affect them in this test for sure. Still wouldn't put England to win the game, but it could get close. I've got to say, I felt a sort of lack of the intensity that was there in Brisbane and indeed in Sydney. It's sort of like it's another game almost. And the lack of the crowd may impact that as well.
Well, you do wonder, as Bumrah is coming up to bowl, he's into the pads of Sibley. He clips out. It's an interesting field they've got on the leg side. They've got a square leg who's in front of the square. They've got a short mid-wicket and a kind of wide mid-on who's a little bit deeper. That one goes to him and he gets through for a single. You do wonder whether exactly that, they've come back home, they expect to be on home ground, they expect to win. I mean, we've seen England do it before. I mean, they get a bit lackadaisical in the first test and it all goes a bit tits up. But imagine if England did win this first test, and there's an awful long way to go, let's face it, they would, suddenly that spark would definitely be reignited. When you're at home, everything becomes a little bit more on top, doesn't it? Burns is retaking his guard.
Yeah, I think that without the crowd thing, that getting yourself up mentally for it, I think it's real tricky for the cricketers after the great experience in Australia. I think it's going to be a real, Ishant hasn't played for a year. I think to get the Indian team going, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge for Kohli here.
Absolutely. Mind you, they don't get huge audiences for tests in India, do they? Played by Burns up to mid-off, and there is no one. Burns on 12 or 31 balls. Sibley's 14 or 44. He's doing a Sibley thing. England are 27 for 9. A good start for England. Not lost a wicket in the first 12 overs. And Sibley certainly looks a hell of a lot more comfortable facing up against a bit of pace to start with to get his eye in, didn't he?
Yeah, well, we've got Josie Oak, who's possibly the only person to beat Hendo for pessimism. He says, morning or when will the collapse start?
Touch wood. England have looked reasonably comfortable so far, these two. Left alone outside the off stump as Bumrah bowls across Burns. He's come over the wicket. He started off around the wicket to him earlier in the session. He's now coming over and bowling across, a little bit wide of the seam, pushing it across him. Dan Lawrence, he's been thrown into the fire at number 3. Because Zach Crawley slipped over in the nets and sprained his wrist. Well, at least he didn't break it, so he's out for 2 tests, supposedly. But it gives Dan Lawrence a chance to cement his place. I'm glad to see Ollie Pope back in the side, I have to say. I think he could well prosper in India. He's a good player of spin. Driven at by Burns, slightly across the ball, get thickish outside edge, goes square on the offside. Very athletic throw out at point. Throws himself to the ground as he throws it in. I don't know who that was. Maybe it was Axar, maybe Washington Sundar. And they get through for a single. 28 for none.
And Nitin Bajaj is back with us. So hello, folks. He says, great to hear you all again. Madras pitch, 10 overs gone, openers still in. We're looking at a 100-plus opening partnership, especially with 80s style fielding like old Nadeem is doing. It's good to have you back with us, Nitin.
Absolutely. Hello, Nitin. It's been a while. Bumrah is at the end of his run. He's coming in to bowl to Sibley, who just props forward and defends. And there is no run. I guess Sibley's our Shea Pujara, isn't he? Just leaves a lot.
Yeah, I think he's been just positive, in a weird Sibley way. He's positive in defence. He's got forward when he needs to. He's left positively well as well, And let's go and see him, was it Pujara 900 balls in Australia he faced? It was something crazy what he did down there. So, Sibley's got to do that role for England. He's got to dig in here.
Absolutely. And I think he's also, Shea Pujara is one of the key wickets, actually, for England to get. Because he does eat up an awful lot of time. He's a stubborn bugger. That's defended by Sibley. Back up the pitch and thrown at the wrong end and wide. Nearly hit Burns. He's running up there. Pant had to dive to stop it going past him down for overthrows down to the third-man boundary. But he did, and they got through for a quick single. Good running in the end. Sibley was quick to say yes. Burns was a bit slower off the mark, but... all good in the end.
Yeah, I think that's important, isn't it?
To the stumps,
yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I think the running between the wickets is so important here. It's going to be a slow, no one's going to get 350 in a day's cricket here. It's going to be a 200 day probably. And the running between the wickets is so crucial here. It's, you've got to be positive defence. And I obviously said to my batsmen, be positive, find those singles in your defensive shapes. And there's pretty good running there.
Yeah. Do you think Broad and Anderson, I'm thinking more the day-night test here. Do you think they might get picked together for the day-night test? It'd be interesting to see what day-night test does in India. I mean, it gets bloody dewy, doesn't it, at nightfall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult for the spinners in day-night games, around that dewy period, that slippery ball.
Yeah.
It'd be fascinating.
Ashwin is into Sibley. He just clips it out to mid-wicket with some authority. There's no run.
I think a lot will depend on the state of the series. If England really, really need a win at all costs, they might go really strong in the pace department.
Well, they might well do, especially if they're going to give Jofra a break. That's a lovely shot by Sibley. He's clipped that through the leg side, which is a pretty packed leg side, and it's going to be 4 runs. Attempted field out there by, I think it was Rohit, wasn't it? Out deep mid-wicket. He tried to pat it back with his hand and sort of went over the top of the ball. And so England get their second one of these of the day. Right to the pitch of the ball, no turn, nothing to worry about, and clip that strongly through the leg side. There is a short mid-wicket, I think, and there's a square leg who's well in front of square, and picked it right between the two of them. To get that 4 runs. Ashwin doesn't look happy. And Sibley is outscoring Burns. Mind he's faced a few more balls. And England move on to 33 for none. They'll be pretty happy with their start, I thought. And the thing is to keep them out there, isn't it? Get them tired. If they stay out there for 140 overs and hope that comes into India's batting. as Sibley just goes on the back foot, forces down up to mid-on, and there's no run.
James Henderson says Pant's current drop rate for this match of 1 per hour is slightly better from the whole Australia series.
Clipped up to mid-on, there's no run. You were saying, Ollie?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what England are thinking, what a genuine score is here. You know, winning the toss, you always have an aspiration what you want to get. You know, is it a 450 pitch? It, probably certainly looks something with a 4 in it minimum here, doesn't it? It's a slow pitch. There's not much for the bowlers here so far. You know, and I think you've probably got to dig in until, you try and get to tomorrow lunchtime, tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow tea, you really want, wouldn't you?
Well, even so, but I think you've got to give the platform for people like Ollie Pope to come and express himself later.
Exactly.
These guys got to soak it up and let those guys come in later on.
Last 2 balls are over, just tapped out into the leg side to mid-wicket, and there's no run. That ends the 14th over, 33 for none for England.
So Knackle says, I can't imagine any of the seamers on either side playing all 4 tests, except maybe Stokes. That frankly seems negligent. Warren says the bear touching wood, another reason to tune into GC radio, but maybe not the video. And Leah says, stop threatening to touch Mark Wood and thereby compromise England's bio bubble, bear.
Yeah.
Nitin Bajaj says, planning to go to Ahmedabad for the day-night test. Yeah, the dew will be stupid and will move around, and Anderson has to play for England to make the most of it. I think that's a good point.
Well, the thing is, when a ball gets dewy, it doesn't do much at all. I mean, it tends not to swing when it gets wet. And
it's not so much the dew, is it? It's that twilight time. It's that in Australia is a really important moment in terms of swing and moving off the pitch sometimes too, for some reason.
Well, Bumrah's coming back round the wicket to Burns for this over. He bowls into the stumps and just clips it to mid-wicket, and there isn't no run.
Do you chaps remember the Adelaide test, the England-Adelaide, the day-night we had at Adelaide? And I remember I was actually there. I was wearing a hoodie. It was freezing cold. I've never been so cold in my life in Australia. And Broad and Anderson had the ball at, that twilight time, and it was surprising how little it did, out in Australia for that day-night game. And we were all expecting Anderson to zip it past, and it just didn't do much. Like I say, the ball almost got too wet.
Well, that's the thing. And you wonder in India whether that, the amount of IPL games you've seen, nighttime games where the outfield, they're having to rope it because it's so dewy.
Yeah.
Bumrah is up to the stumps, bowls in, that's a decent ball, a bit shorter of a length, into the thigh of Burns, who tries to turn it around a corner but only gets it to short square leg, and there is no run.
Yeah, Mayank reckons that the day-nighter is the best chance, and points out it's a new stadium, so India doesn't have so much of a home advantage. Yeah, Mayank reckons that...
Well, it's a new square as well, isn't it? Completely rebuilt it. It's like a monster dome. It's like the MCG, isn't it? Got capacity for something like 130,000 or something now at Ahmedabad, which is crazy.
So India doesn't have so much of a home advantage.
They let 25,000 people in. That's played out into the offside by Burns, again slightly shorter by Bumrah, and is no run.
Knuckles sent us a great stat on seamers in India over the last 4 years. It's just 17 tests. The Indian seamers averaged 21.3 at a strike rate of 41.8, opposition 43.9 at a strike rate of 75.2. So that's amazingly different in terms of the use of the conditions, isn't it?
What it is, I fancy England. This is it. Jimmy is so experienced now, isn't he? Bumrah is it's a bit too leg-sidey, onto the hip of Burns. He clips it nicely down a deep backward square leg, and they'll get themselves a single. For a long time, we always think of Jimmy as a home team bowler, but he's taken wickets everywhere now. He was extraordinarily effective in Sri Lanka. And in conditions where the ball's not suiting him, he's really learned how to do things that still lead him to be, economical and still take wickets. And I think Broad has too over the last couple of years as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they both go here. And that's why you wonder at one point whether they'll play them both together in a test and give Jofra a break, and maybe Wood won't come in. Because I presume Wood's coming back for the white ball stuff, isn't he? Along with Sam Curran. Bumrah is into the crease, bowls at Sibley, who clips that nicely out square on the leg side. And they'll get themselves a single. And I guess also these guys won't have seen Burns or Sibley, the Indian attack particularly. Never played in the IPL. Weren't opening last time they played England. They've had a lot of TV coverage of them, I suspect, but it's different when you actually get to play them.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? This is kind of, it's amazing that this is Bumrah's first spell in India with the red ball in Test cricket. With his first Test, it just seems incredible. So even he's settling in, I think, here. I think he's bowling too straight for me here. If I'm bowling at Sibley, I'd want this ball outside the off stump and making him play on that fifth stump line rather than on his legs. He seems quite comfortable.
Well,
you're almost playing to his strengths a little bit for me with Sibley here.
Well, exactly. I mean, he is comfortable if you bowl at him on the stumps, especially, anything on the stumps. He's going to try and work into the leg side. That's very full. Attempted Yorker maybe from Bumrah. Squirted out by Burns out through extra cover with a bat that's coming across the ball. But he gets it all right, and he gets himself a single. And it's a no ball. I was going to say he continues to take the strike as that was the end of the over, but it's not. And England will get themselves an extra ball.
So it's worth pointing out that England have managed to score more for no wickets than India did in their first Test match in Australia in the last series.
Yeah, that was an aberration, wasn't it?
It certainly was. But it was indicative of their poor form in their first Test match, a bit like England at home.
Bumrah, last ball of the over. Beats the outside edge this time of Sibley on exactly that line that Ollie was talking about. Should be coaching England. And there is no run.
So we got a special request from Dave Barrett, from the Inimitable Men with Ven, struggling to sync the pic to the audio on Channel 4. Can you please speak faster so I can catch up with the play on my TV? And Adelaide Barmes is with us. Says, morning chaps from Sopping Adelaide. Local cricket off tomorrow due to rain. Best got on the sauce tonight while listening to the cricket. Huzzah.
Well, you get on the sauce.
Yeah, and we've got a discussion over on YouTube with Dave Carpenter and I am Malik about Mo and whether he should be playing or not. I think it's sad to see him not playing, but as they point out, it's got a lack of match practice at the moment, which sort of is self-fulfilling in the way things are going.
Well, indeed. Ashwin around a wicket to Burns, who just props forward. It's on a sort of leg stump line. He just defends it out to mid-on. There's no run. This is it. It was probably difficult to drop Bess after his performance in the last Test. He got a 5 for. Down the track a little bit comes Burns, plays it out to mid-wicket, and whilst he's on a run, he scoots through for the single. Good throw from mid-on, knocks out the leg stump at the non-striker's end, but he was easily home. And I guess it's for Bess to fail, to get himself out the side and Mo in to get a chance, isn't it?
I think that's inevitably the only way he's going to get in, isn't it?
Yeah. Which, let's be fair, there's a 50-50 chance of that happening. I'd say.
I'd put it higher than that, to be honest.
I mean...
Sorry, Bear, do you think England ever play 3 spinners in this Test series?
I don't think you really need 3 spinners. That's defended down a track and there's no run. I think it would unbalance the side if they did. Because I don't know who you take out of the batting order. I think they want the batsman in there.
Especially when they've got a couple of part-time spinners anyhow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Root's last bowling spell was 2 for none, wasn't it? That's played to short leg and there's no run when the spinners in the side couldn't take the wickets. And what was his name? I can't even remember his name now. The left-hand spinner who took all the wickets for Sri Lanka.
Abaldenia.
That's it, Abaldenia. And that's played down the track by Sibley. There's no run. What was it? Lemon Country or something, wasn't it? Country of Lemons.
Yeah, something like that.
Ashwin tosses that up again, and Sibley just knocks it past short leg. Well, Shubman Gill is fielding. And there's no run on that, ends the 16th over, 38 for none.
So Josie Oak says, does Bumrah wear a box when he's bowling, or does he just like hitting himself in the nuts? Mayank says, according to the Indian government, 100% capacity is allowed at an open-air event. Chennai has decided to do 50% for the second test, but for the third test, they may allow all 110,000 tickets to be sold if they wish. That would be amazing. A day-nighter with 110,000 people present.
Isn't that a bit risky? I mean, it's still quite high prevalence, isn't there, of COVID in India?
Yeah. And Nitin says the wet pink ball moves, at least in India. They played the Duleep Trophy with the pink ball in 2016-17. The first two innings were a procession.
Oh, really? Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I like games where wickets tumble. Generally, especially when they're in the middle of the night, because it means I get back to have some sleep and maybe a day off. But
it depends who they are, Bear.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I like the game to move on. I don't like really stolid pitches when nothing's happening. That looks nice. Is that the beach? Where's this? Where? We're in Chennai.
Chennai.
On the back foot goes Burns. We had a change in bowling. I was wondering who this was. We're seeing the first taste of Nadeem. And I'll give him a jingle in a second when I can find him. He's not even in here, is he? We might not have a jingle for him. Down on one foot goes Burns and sweeps that nicely out to deep square leg. And they'll get back for a third. This is the first time I've seen Nadeem. He's a little bit round arm, front leg collapsing. He's not a particularly tall man. And England might look to get after him. You wonder if they want to be
Bear in
positive.
mind, he's got a bowling average of 10.75.
Has he?
Yeah. Only one match.
Ah, well, there you go. Had a lucky first game, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, Sibley will face up to him. He's a lefty, though, which I think you need guys with both arms if you're going to have regulation spinners. No mystery and no Kuldeep. Around the wicket, you'll feel more happy about that, bowling to the right-hander. Toss it up a little bit wide of the off stump, and Sibley plays with a gap between bat and pad and reaches for it a bit. Inside edge onto pad, goes nowhere. You want to keep that bat pad together, get right out there.
Yeah, I must say, I'm really sad Jadeja's not fit.
Yeah, well, as an Englishman, I'm quite happy about that. Back foot nicely punched by Sibley, but can't beat cover, who's Rohit, is a bit deeper. They've got it well covered offside. There's a man in that short cover, there's a point, there's an extra cover, he's a bit deeper, and I think there's a mid-off as well. So they've got an umbrella on the offside. City went off as well on a slip. Forward comes Sibley, defends that. No run.
Yeah, he kind of feels a bit like our Leach, Nadeem. Really experienced, great first class career. I think he's got 440 wickets at first class level. Coming to the Indian team late in his career. Well, he's 31 years old. Sorry.
Okay.
And I think he's just going to bowl he's going to ring the field like this, and he's going to bowl long spells, and rather than some of the other Indian spinner options, which maybe they could have picked. But I think he's going to settle in, and on this pitch, you're probably going to be out there for 90, 120 overs at least. So I think he's going to take the pressure off the attack.
Well, maybe, but that one's a bit too short, and Sibley rocked back and crunched it through the offside.
Crunch it.
Good shot, and it's made it all the way out to the point boundary for another 4.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
That's it. They'll look to not let him settle. I mean, it's 7 off his first over. But India will do that to England spinners, and that's my main fear about this series, is that England spinners won't be able to get the control that they'll need to, squeeze the run rate when India are batting, and to give the seamers the rest that they'll require. Anyway.
So Naimar Butland says, many of the names of the Indian team sound like negative experiences. How was your day? It was pants. Oh, what a bum round, mate.
First ball of Ashwin's next over is just defended out to cover. No run. England are 45 for none. They'll be pretty happy with this, I'd have thought. Nearly an hour and a half out there. We'll have a change in 5 minutes. Ashwin around the wicket and defended straight back down the track. And there's Have you got work to do today, Ollie?
I had to go in for a brunch. I got a nice lunch with some friends coming up later. So it's the weekend here in Dubai. So
of course it's Friday, isn't it? Yeah. Cut nicely by Burns, late cut, beats point. It's gone off down towards third man boundary. Bumrah chases it down, manages to haul it in just inside the rope. It may well get back for 3 as Cody goes after him, and they do indeed.
Sources tell him that it'll only be 50% for the third and fourth test in terms of crowds.
50% of 100 and whatever thousand stadiums, a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know India's population, what is it, something like 70 or 80% are under 30. So whilst they've had a lot of COVID, I presume they've not had so many deaths, and in a hot country as well. Probably helps to control it a little bit. But you do wonder. Anyway, Ashwin is over the wicket to Sibley, who just clips that to Shubman Gill at short leg on the bounce, and there's no run.
Just a quick point here. Do you think that England are actually more prepared for this first test than India are?
Well, I do wonder that, don't they? I mean, they've just come off a hard-fought series in Sri Lanka in similar conditions. Again, played to short leg and there's no run. And whilst India have played a hard-fought series in in Australia, it was in Australia on completely different wickets, and they've come back home and they've got to change their mindset a little bit, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, looking around, and when's the last time a lot of the Indian players have played a test in India?
Well, exactly.
So weirdly enough, with a couple of tests in Sri Lanka, it almost feels like, and I'm really loving Sibley's footwork at the moment.
Absolutely.
That shot in the last over was so positive with feet, it looked great. So I think it's good signs for England there.
Well, indeed, and that's just played out to mid-wicket, last ball of the over, and there's no run. I mean, that's what I feared about Sibley, is that he wouldn't be able to score much against the way he plays. Is that could he rotate the strike against the spinners? And let's face it, he had all sorts of trouble against Embleton in the first 3 innings in Sri Lanka, but he found a way in that last innings to get himself a 50. And clearly he's got decent temperament, and if he can stay there and get his eye in and not lose his wicket early, he's a difficult man to shift.
Yeah, and I think Jonathan Trott's interesting in the England camp as well. If you remember, Trotty batting, it wasn't always pretty at times, but he found a way to rotate in the strike, grind them down. And I think actually that influence on Sibley here, I think, is a good pick from England, especially with his top order, try and work with them.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be really important that the opening partnership wears out a new ball, grinds down the spinners for a bit at least.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a couple of innings where you're going to lose early wickets. I mean, that's just the nature of cricket. That beach looks wicked.
Professor S.P. Cooper in Michigan says, thank heavens for Guerrilla Cricket Live ball by ball. Just the thing needed to warm one up in spite of the inches of snow falling outside in a midnight blizzard.
Ooh. So that's clipped down to long leg by Burns. First over of Nadim's next over, and there's a single. Did you see that thing, those people who shot each other in America? Shoveling snow out of their drives. There's a whole video of it. This guy just comes out they have a massive argument in the street, and he just basically goes inside, gets a gun and shoots them in the street. And it's all filmed on a CCTV camera. An argument over snow in Pennsylvania. Horrible.
I don't know.
Well,
England,
Sibley just plays that out to what is a short forward cover, squarish, and there's no run.
Mayank wants us to slow down because we're 4 seconds ahead of his TV. Should be able to pause us on Facebook or on YouTube, Mayank, if you're using those.
Yep. Thrown up outside Sibley's off stump by Nadeem. He just lets it through to Pant, and there is no run. I guess we should be able to
really looking forward to Archer bowling. He says speed through the air is what gets wickets for pacers in India.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Archer bowl. He has experience in India. Defended out on the leg side by Sibley, square, and there is no run. We're going to have a change at the end of the over. And who is on? It's going to be Avi's taking over ball by ball. Nestlers and Ollie's staying on for the last session before lunch. On to the back foot goes Sibley, forces it out square on the offside, and can't beat point, so there will be no run.
And I'm going to go off and do my GPL entries.
No, you do that. Well, the GPL is £116. We've had a few. Nestle boys already in. I am going to go and make some toast, I think, and have a cup of coffee. Nadeem in decent ball, decent line, decent length, and Sibley just gets right forward and defends it out into the offside. And that is the end of the over. 49 for none after 19. I'm going to be out of here. Avi's back in, Ollie's staying on, and Nestle should be joining. And it's goodbye from me and Jess. See you shortly.
See ya.
Hello, hello, hello. Everyone, Avi, you're on mute, mate. That's it.
I'm unmuted. So morning again. I say New England fans must be very happy with this start. 49 without loss.
Yeah, very good. Surprising, actually.
Yeah, it's calming at this time of the morning almost. It's soothing almost to see this so far. So, no, it's been a great start from England. I think that they'd be delighted winning the toss and 49 for no wicket after 15, 16 overs now. So it's a great start. Yeah, quite typical of a Chennai pitch, I think. Ashwin continues 2 burns. First ball is defended on the front foot, no run there. So I think he got that big always in the first innings. So 400, I think, isn't always enough. So looking at the 550s, next ball is played through mid wicket as Burns comes down the pitch, takes a step down the pitch to Ashwin, slightly shorter delivery, worked to mid wicket, but there won't be a run there.
Yeah, I wonder if India have made a ricket with the way they prepared the wicket. I'll break off. As the next ball is targeted down towards leg stump, and it's worked nicely off his legs by Burns. They'll come back for 2 there. Well run. I mean, all the permutations about who's going to be playing, who's going to be doing what, along with the seam of the ball and the pitches. Interesting. Maybe Kohli thought he'd win a toss. I mean, he's won 1 in 11 matches against England. In his last in the 11 matches he's captained against England, he's won 1 toss, which is remarkable, really. Well, that's one thing we've got over him then. Yeah, absolutely. As Ashwin continues, this one's bowled onto the off stump line. It's defended well by Burns, and there'll be no run there. Exactly, and. In India, nothing happens. Obviously, you don't want to say that for listeners, but it's attritional cricket often for the first few days, especially Chennai, which is a batsman's paradise for those first. Things will start happening on day 4, day 5. Will India be batting last? And I don't know. It depends. They might score 700 like they did last time against England, and there is a sense of you've got to just stick in there while the going's good. You've got to go make your runs, and then be patient. Things will start happening later on in the days, later on in the Test matches. It's attritional cricket sometimes in India. Ashwin continues bowling outside of the off stump, and Burns again nicely goes forward. I've been impressed with both the openers' defence against spin. Look very solid, very sort of certain in the way they go forward and back. As Ashwin continues a nicely flighted delivery. Again, Burns pops onto the front foot. No run there. That's the end of the 20th over. Good start for England. 51 without loss. Nakul Pandey says a clear strategy from India and a similar plan to the one India used in Australia to bowl straight, even at players who are good through the leg side and set straight fields, not allowing the batters to leave easily and settle in. Ryan is talking about the capacity policy right now. It's risky to have 100%, but this India government is also full of fucking nutters from top down, so no surprise in my opinion. A little bit of politics there, a little bit of politics. Leia says, I told you they were flat track bullies after they won the series in Australia, and now to see them fail on Indian pitches as predicted. Well, it's a bit early for fail, I think. But we shall see. Like you say, there's a long way to go, yeah. We're 20 overs in, aren't we? Of 5 days and of sort of, of 20 days really. Yeah. Of cricket. And quite rightly, Nitin Bajaj points out, "You're on mute." The phrase of the year. Yeah. It's always the "you're on mute" and "next slide, please." It seems to be in the. Has anyone seen that English council meeting they had on Zoom that's going around the internet? Was that the parish council one? Yeah. Reading the standing orders or something. Oh, brilliant. As Nadeem continues his left arm spin, and it's again a full pitch ball, and Sibley gets out onto the front foot, defends, no run there. Nadeem probably started, his first over was a little bit short, I felt, but hopefully he'll find his length
It's sort of Indian length on that sort of good length. This one again a little bit short. He doesn't have to leave the crease Sibley as he drives, but he won't beat mid on, and there's no run there.
Yeah, a little stat for you, Avi. Like, you know, I've just been doing a bit of digging on Nadeem. You know, obviously surprised that he played.
Yeah, very surprised.
The next ball kick. Yeah, but you know, he hasn't actually played a first-class game of cricket or a red ball cricket game since last summer. You know, so he hasn't. You know, and it looks like he's bowling a bit flat to me here. He's not brave enough to chuck it up here. He's
exactly.
A bit flat and short.
And his last ball was flat outside of off, and it was defended by Sibley. You're absolutely right. And I tell you what, if I was Kuldeep, I'd be very disappointed. As Nadeem's next ball again, it's a little bit fuller. He's creased there, Sibley, but his defence was solid enough, and no run there. I think Kuldeep's last test was in 2018 in that Sydney test that was abandoned. He took a fifer. He was told he was India's #1 overseas spinner, and he hasn't played a game since. As the team continues, this one's come a bit wider in the crease, angles it in, and it's defended on the front foot again. It squirts out to mid wicket, no run there. Slightly tidier by Nadeem, and he's quite quick. I quite like to see the sort of the speeds. You'd want him to flight it up a little bit more. Next ball, it's maybe a bit more leap on that, but the line isn't very good. It's towards the leg side, and it easily works away for a single. That's the end of the 21st over. England 52 without loss. Yeah, he's bowling around 82 kilometres an hour. It's not arrowing in, is it? But you'd hope it. I suppose for a short guy as well, you'd want him to sort of fly it up a little bit more. But obviously, I think India went with him because he's Axar was injured. Axar's, they want that ball to come away from the right-handers. I think the last tour, England had more left-handers. I think is it only Burns and Stokes now who are lefties? I'm just trying to think of who else is there.
And of course Jimmy.
Oh, and Jimmy as well. But with a wrist, a left arm wrist one, you think the angles are there even if the ball does come in. As Ashwin, interestingly, stays round the wicket to Sibley, followed that straighter line. It was straighter. It was defended out onto the leg side. There's no run there as he continues. He gets through these quickly. This one again, leg side of Sibley. He's worked down towards fine leg, the short sort of wide fine leg, and there's no run there. Interesting line here by Ashwin. He's decided to bowl straight and onto the leg side, sort of that thing that Knuckle was saying about bowling to the strength of the sort of English players, but sort of having the field for it. This one's pushed out a bit further out the offside, and it's a good single there by Sibley as he works it, just sort of drops the bat as the ball squirts out towards mid-off, and they take a single.
Yeah, I think it's been quite a negative start from India in terms of field placing and how they're attacking the batsman with the new ball. But like even Ashwin bowling this line, why there's no leg slip. If you're really going to attack this line, actually, you're there to get wickets. You'd have a leg slip here for Sibley on this line for me. I think India being slightly negative, and maybe there's indicative on the pitch. It's not doing too much, and they're just trying to settle in here. But I think
you got it right. I think it's the pitch that's dictating it to a certain extent. Ashwin now continues to Burns. It's a poor ball, really. He's set an offside field, and he just arrows it down the leg side, and it's swept well by Burns, and it goes for one of these. We got anyone on jingles? Oh, he's just come back.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Post in hand and jingle to the ready.
Exactly. There it was a good sweep shot actually by Burns. It was actually a bit of a poor ball. It wasn't great length, and it was arrowed down towards that leg stump. He continues. Ashwin, the better line here on the middle and off, and it's only defended by Burns. No run. I've been impressed with Burns Sibley, as I said. Cook was a great opener in Asian conditions, and these two look like they've slotted in pretty well as the final ball of the over is played out onto the leg side by Burns. No run there. That's the end of the 22nd. England 57 without loss.
Knuckle Paddy says, nice to hear you back, Abby. Are we hearing you live from the auto?
From the
Autobahn? The Alto?
I don't know if from the auto rickshaw. I don't know.
Martin Lawrence says, all going well for England. Didn't think I'd be saying that. Spangly Sai says, "What chaps, just woke up from a dream where England were 2 for 9 and was convinced that was the real score until I turned you guys on." Thank God. Jersey Hope says, "If this was a T10, they'd be finished the match by now." Well, they'd be finishing in an hour because the over rate is so slow in T10. I've not really seen much T10, I must say.
Dean continues a straighter ball, and it's worked out less, so no run. There you go, carry on, Lesses.
Alan Forsyth said a Vancouver City Council meeting also went viral months ago now. It was the one where someone went to the loo very much not on mute.
That's a naked gun, isn't it? As Nadeem continues, poor line on the leg side, it's just only worked to that fine leg fielder who's sort of, what would say, inside the circle. If it was a one-day cricket, he's quite short, but no run there. Nadeem's has to bowl that sort of offside line, I feel, or sort of middle and off. Next ball is on middle and off, and it's only defended straight down to mid-on, no run. Yeah, so that council meeting, I think I've only seen a very short highlight of it, but I remember hearing the old vice chair. Was it the vice chair being very stringent in his demands that he controls the meeting?
It's so typically English, local council crap.
Nadeem continues. It's a slightly shorter ball. It can only be worked out onto the offside, so he actually went forward to it rather than maybe stayed back. No run there.
Unimportant people so full of their own importance.
A bit like us, really. As Nadeem continues to Sibley, this one's a slightly quicker ball, and it's defended on the front foot, no run.
Yeah, our use of Zoom doesn't descend into that kind of madness.
Well,
thankfully.
These are the morning tests. You see, if you a few drinks in a sort of Australian away tour.
True.
Rod singing karaoke in front of the mic. As the final ball of the over is played out into the offside, there'll be no run there. Tidy over from the Dean. He's sort of brought his lengths back a bit, but he's brought them into a better sort of configuration, and England are 57. Oh, that was a no ball. Apologies. That final ball was a no ball from a spinner indeed. Oh dear. Poor. Spinners bowling no balls. It's absolutely
shouldn't have.
Nope. It would have been a tidy maiden, but let's have a look and see how far over he was on the replay. Yeah, fair enough. Didn't get anything behind the line, and that is a no ball. Well picked up by the third umpire. So he will complete his over now. And the next ball is just played out onto the offside. It's picked up by the silly mid-off. No run there. That's now the end of the 23rd over. England 58 without loss.
Yeah, Knackle, talking about Nadeem, says doesn't give the ball much air, hasn't throughout his career, bowls a little quicker than most, straight lines, very accurate, lets the pitch do the work and tries to threaten both edges. So Dave Barrett's with us, Men with Len. Hello, Dave. I'm quite enjoying the lack of adverts on Channel 4, but how do they generate any income to pay for the broadcast? Maybe they're borrowing the guerrilla cricket business model. Oh, I hope not. We've got a business model. Salapan says, hello from sunny Japan. We aren't 40 for 3. What on earth is going on? Well, be quiet.
I don't think England have been 40 for 3 in India that many times, have they? These are good pitches. I
think in general you've got the England fans are generally pessimistic, and when we don't collapse, we get worried that something's not happening.
Exactly. As have we got a bowling change here? No, that's. I don't know what's happened to the feed here, but that was Nadeem's last ball again that we've just seen. That was.
You didn't bowl another no ball off the no ball.
I was thinking. No, it's still 58 for not. I think the feed maybe has slightly gone out of sync, maybe, and something like that. But that was the end of the over. Yeah, I think as I've said before, it's about hanging on in there. This has been a good partnership. They're seeing out balls as well. Tiring out the bowlers, making Ashwin bowl 30 overs in a day, or 20 overs in a day. Ashwin continues to Zippy, and it's a great shot. He takes a step down the pitch, reads the flight really well, drives it down to mid-on for one of these.
Go on, Bear.
The number of the day.
Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
I'm doing a washing up.
Well, Burns done
Bloody
that
hell.
very well. Took 2 steps down the pitch, read the flight really, and played it very nicely. Beat the sort of straighter mid on, and it was a very nice shot actually. Been impressed with him so far. Has he?
No, they look really well coached, these two at the moment. And you don't often kind of give too much praise to the coaches coming on the pitch, but they have a plan, both of them. They're using their crease well, they're using their feet, they're positive with their feet in defence and attack. And I think it's been great so far how they've played Ashwin. Their feet have been fantastic.
And Jack Callis is the batting coach now, is he? Is that right?
Was he in the kind of? I know Trotty's there, isn't he? He's up in the
Trotty's there.
Callis is part of the team.
Yeah. Well, there you are. There's 2 pretty decent people to have around the nets when you're trying to ask them questions about their experience at it.
Yeah, and both have had success in India as well. I remember probably playing pretty well in 2012, I think it was. Ashwin bowls straight to ball, and a bit of indecision on the length there by Burns this time, but he defends it, and the ball squirts back to sort of first slip, and no run there.
We haven't had a single... Oh, I shouldn't say this.
Oh, I know you're going to say.
No, I'm not going to say it. Carry on.
Yeah.
Ashwin, a bit more flight here, and defended on the front foot, full of ball, no run.
But we haven't, have we? You know what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Has
As Ashwin continues, this one's down the leg side, or sort of aimed towards the leg side rather. Burns actually gets his front foot out of the way, plays it just down the wicket, and there'll be no run there. Not a great deal of turn though for someone pitching it outside a leg stump. And what turn there is pretty slow at the moment. Reverse swing, it's gone up in the air, absolutely awful from Burns. Absolutely no need to do that, and England have gifted a wicket to Ravi Ashwin. Can we have a jingle for that? Awful shot from Rory Burns. Decided to reverse sweep, and the ball just spooned up in the air. Easy take for the keeper, and let's have a jingle because that was awful.
I won't look back, 'cause by the time that I do, you'll be gone.
brainless.
How frustrating for an England fan. But why would you do that? You're batting so well, and he's trying to pull the reverse sweep out, let alone the conventional sweep, and it's just banged the glove and just gone straight up in the air.
I think that applause from the England coaching team is very over generous. I think you're mindless there. You've got control, you've got the tempo here, you're settled in, and absolutely no need to do it. I'm shocked there, and to be fair, that's an indication here in the long term of his temperament. In this kind of level of cricket and these conditions. It's.
I'm just still shocked at
mindless.
That.
So against the grain in this innings as well, isn't it?
Exactly, and you've been. I was just saying how well he's been playing Ashwin as well, being very certain in the way that he's got forward and back, and it's just it's an unconventional shot, that reverse sweep, and admittedly the pitch isn't doing any tricks, so you can play it, but the game situation is you're controlling the game at this moment, and you don't need to play a shot like that. It's a risky shot, and that showed why it's a risky shot.
And there's no need to force the game. You're trying to force the game here. He's taken a four off Ashwin a few balls ago. He's in control of Ashwin at the moment, and you don't need to force it. And if you look at the field anyway, there's a backward point and a slip. The shot's not even really on.
As Ashwin greets Dan Lawrence for his first test in India, just outside of off stump, and it's no run there. That's the last ball of the 24th over in 63 for 1.
Well, the Twitterati has exploded a little bit. There was a time for a proper English collapse. Rory, leave all the sweeping to Joe, says James Humberston. Fraser Middleton says, it's okay, someone will get out playing a Sui. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? When you're seeing someone doing that and then that happens, you just think, why?
As Nadim continues to Sibley and straight a ball, defended on the front foot, no run there. Yeah,
just be boring till lunch. I mean, just
exactly that. Exactly
Yeah.
that. It was just the almost unnecessary aggression in that shot. Very straight ball from Nadim, not much turn there, and it's defended easy enough by Sibley. No run.
But like you were both saying, though, there was no need for it. Absolutely no need.
And the biggest problem is he played 60, 70 balls, so he was in, and 30s don't win matches in India. As the next ball is defended out onto the leg side, no run there.
And it's not even like the run where, I'm quite impressed with England, just under 3 and over here. Very tidy. They don't need to do this. And it's a real disappointment, that's a horror shot.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's what shocked us is it was so out of the blue as Lawrence, Sidney gets his front foot, no run there. It was so out of the blue because he hadn't played. I mean, even sweeps have been few and far between. He's been actually playing everything with his pretty on its merit with a straight bat. Yeah. As the next ball is slightly quicker and the ball beats diving sort of first slip Jinga Rahane, but he won't beat the short third man. There'll be no run there. And you're seeing it on replay, and it just looks worse and worse every time you see it. Really,
I've just got boycott in my ear here. What the bloody hell is he thinking?
Oh, that's it. As Nadim's last ball of the 25th over is defended, it would be a maiden over. England 63 for 1. And we were just talking about Callis and Trott. I mean, these are players who wouldn't have played that sort of shot, not at this stage of their innings anyway.
Yoke says, that's it, all out by tea. Neil Franklin says, has felt like a Sleepy Village match this morning. That Dozy shot is a bit of a piece with that. Oh dear. Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting as well because with the lack of pace in this pitch to play that shot, it's actually quite a tricky shot when there's no pace in the ball and it's not really coming through that easily. Generally you want a pitch with a bit more pace in when you're sweeping to be more confident in the sweep. So it makes it even more bizarre. This is very much hitting the V kind of pitch. Play the line down, and I think it's a real moment in decision from Rory Burns. He's going to regret that because there's a score for someone here today. Someone can come in and get a score here today easily. This is a very flat pitch.
Absolutely, I think you've got to be eyeing big scores on this pitch. Bumrah's back into the action outside of off stump. Dan Lawrence sort of wouldn't say he had a nibble at it, but it beats the outside edge and goes through to the keeper and no run there.
Well, given the pitch, given everything, it's such a high tariff to attempt it, isn't it? I mean, it's just sort of.
And it'd
just
almost
the brain switching off.
It'd be almost better to play the conventional sweep off that ball anyway, as well, sort of outside the leg stand, rather than the reverse sweep of all shots, which is infinitely more trickier to play. And I know they've been talking about the sweep a lot going into this series, and Sri Lanka about how effective they would be sweeping. But yeah, first session day one, it's probably not the cleverest trick. As Bumrah's next ball is defended on the front foot by Lawrence, no run there.
He's not Joe Root, is he?
Exactly, he's not Joe Root. I can understand. Ashwin doesn't like batsmen sweeping him as well. I think that's something that probably England players have probably been told. It sort of puts him off his lines and lengths a little bit, but he'll be quite happy. I better like him sweeping after that shot. Keep going, guys. Bumrah, straighter ball, and again defended by Lawrence. Good ball by Bumrah there. A little bit of shape in towards the batsman. No run.
Well, Mr. Lawrence could make a name for himself today.
Yeah, I think. I only saw that one innings that he played in Sri Lanka, and I was very impressed with that. Obviously, moving up to number 3 is a slightly different challenge.
Yeah.
In India, but you guys probably know a bit more about him than I do. But he looks a good player to me. Technique. Oh, that's a great ball. That It's a great ball. That's lots of shaking. Caught Lawrence on the crease. Finger goes up. England 63 for 2. Having just talked him up, can only face 5 balls. He's thinking about the review. I don't think he should go for that because I look dead in front to me. Yep, and his partner Sibley is told him, that's a fair cop, mate. You better walk. And he is. He's walking off. Yeah, we saw with the ball before and this ball, there's a little bit of shape there from Bumrah. Shape in towards the batsman. It caught him on the crease, really, Lawrence. He couldn't get forward to it. Didn't want to go back. It was slightly short of a good length. And that was arrowing into middle and off. Well. How things change in a couple of overs. A wicket will always bring 2.
Test cricket, isn't it? Yeah. It's the last 5 minutes, everybody, to enter the GPL. I think it's... I don't know, what's the pot there at the moment? Is it £118, I think, last time I looked? So get your predictions in, win some cash. God knows what the prediction's going to be now after the last few minutes.
Yeah, he just head fell over a little bit then, didn't he, on the shot? He got caught in the crease, his head fell over, and Bumrah all day is generally angled the ball in, so, it's disappointing now. I think he's disappointed by the shot there as well, just falling over.
Yep, and Bumrah's first wicket in India, believe it or not.
Yeah, amazing stats, isn't it?
What?
Regard that quality.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pick, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
Wow. And here he is, the England captain, Joe Root. And probably didn't expect to be out here in the first session. Or hope not to be. Maybe expected it before the toss, who knows. But I think after the first 20 overs, and it's a tricky little period now before lunch, I suppose, for him to face. Bumrah now definitely with his tail up. He's got the ball in his hand, takes his 2 little steps and then gets into his gallop and bowls just wide of off stump, and it's played on the back foot by Root through square, through that point region. They'll get through for a single. Root cuts off the mark, and England move to 64 for 2. I think there's only 1 ball left in this over, and we're seeing, I'm just trying to look at that ball, did it go with the shine actually? It definitely, I mean, there was a bit of movement there. Yeah, it maybe had gone with the shine, then it was hitting middle stump, as we see.
On the
ball tracker.
And to be fair to Kohli, good bowling change. Credit the captain there as well to bring your seamer back. He bowled 6 already this morning, and credit to Kohli to bring it back for lunch at Lawrence. So whether that was a preemptive move or that was good captaincy there.
As the next ball from Bumrah to complete the 26th over was straight, slightly short of a good length. It's played defensively by Sibley at the end of that 26th over. England 64 for 2. Have we got a little change coming up soon? Or is it next over? I think it's next over.
Yeah, I think it's next over. Jersey lunch. See, the collapse is on.
Collapse is on. Bear, you went off for your toast in very comfortable mode. Coming back for the odd 4 jingle and 2 wickets down now.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a disaster.
Blame it on Bear's toast.
I didn't even have to rub my tummy either. It's England gifting these 2 wickets away. I suppose Lawrence, you can feel for him. He'd only faced 5 balls. So to get used to the pitch a little bit, but yeah, no, they'll definitely be looking at Burns in the dressing room, I'm sure. Joe Root, though, it's he's in fine form, so how he handles Ravi Ashwin all through this series is going to be very interesting. I remember Ashwin got him a couple of times in the last tour and celebrated very wildly every time he got him. So it was he always knew it was a big wicket, but yeah, Root seems to have found his conversion touch again as well, sort of converting 50s into 100s now, as we saw in Sri Lanka, big 100s at that. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with Ashwin. Ashwin first ball, and Root sort of aggressively a little bit, but played with a full stroke of the bat, and the ball goes through the covers, and they'll get through for 2 runs there. Ashwin sort of bowled it a little bit wide of off stump, and Root wasn't going to leave or anything like that, and he took a good foot forward and went through. He tried to actually work it to leg side, and probably got a bit of a leading edge actually through the covers. Next ball is straight, and this time defended by Joe Root. Gets that forward press going, and no run there. So yeah, it's an intriguing battle, Ashwin to Root. I think this would be the big battle of the series.
Yeah, massively. I think you know, like you said, it's the big wicket for India.
Sorry, the next ball is just outside of off stump, and it's defended by Joe Root. Stayed in his crease there. Ball squirts out, and no run.
Yeah, Nakul tells us that Jack Callis actually was just for Sri Lanka.
Oh, was he just for Sri Lanka? It's a habit that England have of just having coaches just stay for one series or part of the series. This next ball's worked out on the next side and go through for a run.
Oh.
And they're going up for a run out. Kohli from mid-wicket has had a go at Joe Root's end and tossed it down there, and it was a direct hit, but I felt that Joe Root had got there myself, although Ashwin was very interested in the run out. I think Root's safe personally, but we'll even with a direct hit, but we'll have to have a look at that on the replays. And it wasn't a direct hit, it was Ashwin. It deflected off his hands.
He's well in, isn't he?
Root was well in, yes. Oh, yeah. And he was behind Ashwin. No wonder Ashwin was so excited about it. He would have no idea where Root was. He was basically past the return crease as well. By the time he'd got in there, it was a good work from Ashwin though. And but there you go. I think that just shows the sort of how India's tail is up there now, a bit quicker and a bit sharper in the field, now than probably what they were at the beginning of this session, and they know it's a big wicket as well.
We're all getting blamed on Twitter for commentators' curses. We were bigging them up a bit.
Mine's totally deliberate. I'll be big. So you've gone to the third umpire here. Decision is surely going to be not out. I'm not sure why he's taken as long as he has. To be honest, as Jamie was about 4 foot through the crease, not out is the call, and we will continue. 2 balls left of this 27th over. Ashwin, ball in the hand, tosses it a little bit, bit more out in front of the hand, and it's defended by Sibley. Ball squirts out onto the leg side, and no run there. And we'll be seeing Ashwin to his final ball of his 10th over, and again fuller ball defended by Sibley. Gets his sort of works around his front pad. No run there. That's the end of the 27th over. England at 67 for 2. Are we having a change around?
It's now lunch, Avi.
Oh, it is now lunch. Oh, there you go.
It is
was
lunch.
That little tricky session. It was. I thought there might have been a couple of overs left, but there isn't, and that's it. 27 overs we've got through to lunch. England were cruising until about over 24, I think, but they get to their lunch. They won't enjoy it as much because they're 67 for 2. Captain Joe Root at the crease, along with Sibley, who's actually during this opening session looked pretty solid, untroubled by the spinners or by the pacemen, but undoubtedly the Indians will probably enjoy their lunch a little bit more than the English, having picked up Burns and Lawrence in quick succession towards the end of this session.
What have we got for lunch, Bear?
We have at lunch, we're going to have more about ACE, which is the programme to try and get Afro-Caribbean players playing cricket and multicultural cricket, but playing in England, really. More people getting them into the system, as it were. And Nakul interviewed Golfers Riaz.
Excellent, okay.
He is coming up whenever you're ready to switch him on, basically.
Yeah, go for it. We'll
should we do the scorecard quickly?
Go on.
Yeah, so what we've seen is Burns unbeaten on 33 off 60 balls. Sibley out, Burns not unbeaten. Caught Pant bowled Ashton that horrible reverse sweep. Sibley unbeaten, 26 off 96 balls. Lawrence went for a duck. LBW did Bumrah. Root not out of 5 balls. And the bowling figures were Ishant Sharma, 0 for 8 of his 5. Jasprit Bumrah 1 for 17 off 7. Ravi Chandran Ashwin did the majority of the bowling that session, 10 overs, 1 for 31. And we saw a nice 5 overs from Shabazz Nadeem, who was 0 for 11.
Anyone else think that the Channel 4 graphics look a bit 1980s?
They may well have dragged them out from the last time they did Test cricket.
I think these are the BCCI graphics, to be honest.
Are they?
Which consistently 1980s, they've been since the 1950s.
Coolio. Right, well, we shall see you after lunch. We're going to be playing this interview, which will go on till then, and we shall see you shortly.
See you then.
Bye.
Yeah.
Chairman Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Guerrilla Cricket.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Guerrilla Cricket Podcast in partnership with the Cricket Supporters Association, in which we and the CSA look to put forward the views of the people who matter most in cricket, the fans. I'm your host, Nakul M. Pandey, and I'm joined by the chair of the National Asian Cricket Council, Gulfaraz Riaz.
Hi, Nakul. How are you?
I should say, of course, welcome back to Gulfaraz, who was good enough to join us earlier in the year on our anti-racism special. And it's kind of in that vein that you join us again, Gulfaraz, except we're very much focused today, not so much on a sketch of the problems, but on solutions. So I think the best place to start is run our viewers and listeners through the sketch of who the NACC are.
Yeah, the National Asian Cricket Council is a key advisory body to the ECB. Started off with their South Asian engagement work, which we were consulted with, and as well as the Asian community up and down the country, over 2017, 2018, and then really working towards those action plans that were identified in the action plan. And then since then, we've also been advising up to 19 first class and non-first class counties around the country, as well as MCC Foundation and MCC Young Cricketers. So from an advisory point of view, we've got a really good base in terms of and supporting what every county and cricketing fraternities are doing with the South Asian community.
And what are those counties doing, and what are the ECB trying to do? What is, in effect, the problem that the NACC exists to solve?
I think they're multi-layered, to be honest, Nakul. I think there isn't just one. I mean, what Hampshire may have an issue with will be very different from Leicestershire, where there's a heavy Asian community, to Warwickshire, etc. So the movement actually started originally with the 5 core cities, London almost being like one group, and then it was Birmingham, Leicester, Leeds and Bradford. So the strategy really was to go to where the real hubs of the Asian community are, and then expand from there. So they were the original 5, and then I know some of these are towns like Luton and Slough, but the focus became on those as well in the last 2 years, I believe. So the real movement is about engaging and then specifically looking at what the issues might be in each county, and they could be from grounds, facilities, funding. It could be about player pathways for boys and girls from the Asian community towards the professional game in county age group, aspiring coaches, aspiring umpires, aspiring scorers, working in cricket administration. So almost really every facet that's there available for the traditional English fan and English club. We're just trying to make sure that actually those opportunities are there for the South Asian cricketing community as well.
So it's about equality of access and equality of opportunity. Could you give your expert opinion as to why in 2020, given the long history of South Asian involvement in cricket in this country and of large South Asian populations in this country, why that equality of access and opportunity is still not present?
Yeah, good question, Nakul. I think it's twofold. I think first was about becoming aware of the communities, the the Bangladeshi, the Indian, the Sri Lankan, Tamils, etc., Pakistanis. Some of these guys have been going for 40 years and still running under their own devices. But what I think what's happened, certainly since 2012, 2013, the awareness is greater now in terms of it, and I think it's twofold. Just as the focus is via the governing body and the county boards, I think it's really important that the South Asian cricketing community also take ownership and build bridges and develop their interest via the county boards and the cricketing stakeholders in their countries. But I think the point is that actually, yes, there has been a bridge that hasn't been built over the years. The South Asian cricketing communities themselves have just got on with it, playing on Sundays, getting changed under trees and in car parks. And what we highlighted was that actually you're a very important part of the cricketing family, and the focus then was driven by the ECB to engage, to understand, to support, and build bridges to work together. So your question is really, really well meant, and I understand fully. But actually, there is a point where we understand where we've been, but actually it's really important to build on where we want to go together.
And would it be fair to say that where we want to go is a place where South Asian cricketing fans, whatever generation of arrival into the UK that they may be, or whoever they happen to support, county or national team-wise, feels as though they are a full and proper and valued stakeholder in English cricket?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've got, phrases and words coming out that cricket is for all, and, it's for all communities, all backgrounds, male, female, any gender. It's important. And I think we have made great strides, if I'm being brutally honest. If you just look at last year's World Cup winning side, that probably was the most diverse England national side in probably any sport in many, many years. So that was really important. And then you look at people behind the scenes, and a man that you and I both admire in Mo Bobat, National Performance Director, who plays a huge role in English cricket. And then we've seen great journeys, people like Vikram Solanki at Surrey, Min Patel at Kent, Ajmal Shahzad at MCC YC's head coach. And then we've got people in influential positions like Sanjay Patel and Vikram Banerjee. So all these in the positions they're in at the moment weren't there 4 or 5 years ago. So we are making strides. It's not perfect. Nothing really is in life. But do we understand the problem? And is the intention there? I believe it truly is.
And you, as the National Asian Cricket Council, you said have been brought on as an advisory board to the ECB and have been for a number of years. One of the biggest things that come out of that was the South Asian Action Programme. So could you describe just quickly how that plan came about, what its recommendations were, and how far along that process? I know it is a long process. The work of undoing or improving on 40 years worth of problems doesn't happen in just a couple of years. But in terms of how far we are along towards meeting those goals.
Yeah, and those goals were, as I said, were on different facets in terms of it is an 11-point action plan. It was not something that was going to be achieved within a couple of years. It could be 5 years. It could be longer. But the journey towards that was actually where Vikram Banerjee and his team, and Vikram's head of strategy, he genuinely went up and down the country and held forums and consultations with the South Asian cricketing community in places like Leicester and Birmingham and Yorkshire, Leeds, and there was input from the Asian community, and I was present in a number of those, and there were some very frank, honest conversations that took place, and then on the back of that, the strategy was pulled together, and I fundamentally believe that actually the strategy in principle, the raw ingredients of the strategy are absolutely right to get things going, to get the momentum. And then the other part of the plan really is about the community engagement. And also, Nicole, the county board involvement is absolutely crucial, because from Lord's HQ, fantastic plan, consultations are being done, strategy is good, but actually who's delivering this? Who's got the engagement with the communities in Birmingham or Leicester or in Bradford? And I think that's where the real crucial part of the jigsaw is, that actually who's delivering, what's the engagement, and what are the measurables? How are we measuring this over what period? So it's a lot of work to be done, and there's some really key elements of who needs to drive this. And I would say one of the key people is the South Asian community themselves.
We can talk about both of those elements now: the delivery of the county board, and also the willingness to engage of the various South Asian communities, because it's important to note that there are multiple South Asian communities, not just from each particular South Asian country, but then, you know, the needs of the Bengali population are very different to that of the Gujarati population, are very different to that of the Punjabi population. The needs of the Pakistani Punjabi population compared to the Pakistani Pashto population, these are very different communities who come from very different historical backgrounds. What are the key deliverables, I guess? What are those key measures by which you say, right, this has been a success, we need to do more of this, or we need to work harder on this, or that wasn't the right way to do this, we need to do something else? What are those key metrics that we're looking at?
Yeah, and I think the other part of the South Asian community, I know you just touched on the Afghani community, but NACC, working with Hampshire Cricket Board, we've just helped set up the first Nepalese cricket league in the country. So that's a great platform as well for the guys around Hampshire and working within the army barracks around Aldershot. So they're going to be in 2021, if things go back to normal, hopefully that there's a brand new member of the South Asian community setting up their own league. But look, I think if you sat down, there's probably 5 or 6 things that I've already mentioned on a wish list, and we've highlighted at the wish list. But if you then broke it down to what is the top 2 or 3, grounds, facilities, funding, these are crucial. Now, obviously, the spaces and the grounds are sparse. There's not many out there at the moment. Cutbacks happen with local authorities, so where those facilities on Sunday. We're encouraging partnerships between the South Asian cricketing community and the traditional English club whose ground might be available on a Sunday. So to build those bridges and allow access to use good facilities. And the old age one, you know, where Asians are saying that actually we haven't gone on to represent ourselves in the professional game, boys or girls. I mean, women's cricket is equally important, and obviously playing for the national side as well. So those are the top 3 things at the moment. But I know that also in the 11-point action plan, the fans' experience is one of them as well. Knowing that almost every test venue in England at the moment has a multi-faith prayer room. That's happened as well. That's transpired to a reality. But I know also that, you know, that fans' experience is important. There were consultations about having alcohol-free areas, halal food, vegetarian food. So all these are learnings. All these were put forward by the South Asian community when the consultations happened. And you will see that actually if you do go to a test venue on a test match, there will be halal food, there will be a prayer room available, vegetarian food equally, and non-alcohol areas as well where people that don't partake in that can watch the game peacefully.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a long, long time ago, but the World Cup, I went to a number of the World Cup games throughout the summer, and all of those things were in evidence in these COVID, socially distanced, empty ground times. It seems these seem like nice problems to have, but hopefully we can get back to talking about those. And the fan experience segues in beautifully to the Cricket Supporters Association, who we're very delighted to be partnering with here on Guerrilla Cricket. So how did that link come about between yourselves and the Cricket Supporters Association, and what are the mutual aims that you two want to achieve working together?
Yeah, so we've known Becky for a number of years. Becky and myself were part of the board at the Club Cricket Conference. Look, the parallels really there are, first and foremost, trying to set up an entity or an organisation that understands the needs of the fans. Once you know and understand them, then you can obviously speak to the stakeholders, be it the county boards, the ICC, the stadium managers, for example. So it's a really, I think it's an important part of the jigsaw for the cricketing family. You know, the teams, the stadiums, the national teams that we support, the players. There's a voice for almost everyone out there at the moment, and there wasn't one so much as for a collective voice. Yes, we've got separate Barmy Army and other fan groups that didn't ever work against each other. They just had their own interests because their heritage and their communities and their fan base was because of that reason. But what Becky's doing and the Sport Association that's coming together, actually it's a win-win situation for everybody because you again come together. And look, the beauty of cricket is that actually we don't have segregation in a stadium. We can all sit there and where, like the World Cup last year, although it was New Zealand and England, there was India tops, Pakistan tops, Australia tops, everybody was there. So that's the beauty of cricket, that actually unlike football, we're not segregated in that sense, and we can appreciate friendly rivalry and banter. But it's important that an organisation such as this brings the voices together so we speak as one.
Absolutely. We've seen in football, to take a recent topical example, or at least topical at the time we were recording this, that organised fan pressure caused the Premier League to back down over pay-per-view, and not only organised fan pressure of negativity, but also of positivity of driving that into something else, where Club Supporters Association says, no, we're not going to give that money to pay-per-view. That money you would have spent on watching us, go and donate it to food charities. And it is absolutely vital to call out stuff that's going wrong, to call out areas where we feel that fans are not being properly represented in decision making. But it's also important to be a voice of positivity and a voice of constructive plans and a voice of hope, if as much as anything else. Where do you see the NACC fitting into that with the CSA in the next few years?
Yeah, and these are dialogues which almost go back to the action plan as well. That, we want to understand, actually, so for example, the distribution of tickets as well, because there's huge clamour, isn't it, in terms of block viewings and ballots and so on. So there's a moment of understanding actually how much of that is ICC-led, how much is it kind of, if you're watching a county game led, or how much is it the people running the stadium led. So I think the fact that it's pretty early stages of this group forming, it's important that actually, look, if you look at the overall ticket pricing, for example, for the working man, most people probably couldn't afford to go to Lord's. That's probably the most expensive venue to watch a game of cricket. But then if you break it down, actually, that you're there for anything up with 6-7 hours, then it does actually, come into light that actually it is value for money. And of course, stadiums are improving. I think that's the other thing that the Supporters Association could possibly work on, is actually the whole match day experience, Nicole. I think that's crucial. But every stadium is different. Every interest of a stadium are a little bit different, and the demographics of the social community, I guess, where the pricing tickets in Leeds and Bradford would be different from Lord's, right? So it's very different. But I think the fact that a supporters association or groups come together, it's actually one of the jigsaw pieces that was missing for a while, actually.
Was this something that the CSA reached out to you with, or you reached out to them and said, we want to be a part of that? How did that conversation start?
Yeah, because I've known of Becky for 2-3 years, so there was early dialogue, early communication. And to be fair, we still need to have extensive conversations as well with Becky, and build on that, because you can come together, and I think sometimes it's easier to come together, and actually it's harder and longer to stay together to understand what we're trying to drive here. But for example, over the last 2-3 years, we've had a fans cup at Edgbaston where we, the NACC, have played the Barmy Army. So we play the Barmy Army, but it depends if India are here, then we will have an Indian NACC-led team. If Pakistan have been here, then a Pakistani 11 would play the Barmy Army in Birmingham, Edgbaston. So that is, again, bringing the cricketing fans together. And I think, so if Sri Lanka are here next year, I believe, as well, for a short period, we'll be looking to have a Sri Lankan Asian or Sri Lankan NACC 11 playing against the Barmy Army. So I think forging relationships that were always there on a mutual way, mutual respect was always there. But I think we're still learning what more we can do, and there's more to come from the Supporters Association. But I think overall the initial communications and the initial feedback's been good. It's been positive, and that's exactly what we wanted.
That's fantastic. really excited to hear that there's a NACC versus Barmy Army game. I'd be remiss of me as a as a cricket commentator to ask if we can commentate on those games at some point. That would be wonderful. And then also as a cricket journalist, who's come out on top in those games?
Yeah, it's been good actually. We played the first one. The first one was an NACC 11, played at Atlock CC in Birmingham, and there's some fantastic pictures on our website with St George's flags and you know the two fans groups coming together. We've also held actually an India v Pakistan game indoors because it rained in Birmingham that day. But look, we would love to have you there commentating next year. I firmly believe it's the Sri Lankan fans, or it could be 3 separate games because India are here, Pakistan are here, Sri Lanka's here. The Asian teams are, I believe, we're 2-1 up. We're 2-1 up out of the last 3 years. But it's so much fun and it's so much camaraderie. And we do remind the guys, look, it is fun and it's social and it just brings people together, and we have some food afterwards as well. But that's been running as the Edgbaston Fans Club. So Warwickshire Cricket Board Cricket Club have been huge supporters of this for the last 3 or 4 years. So we're definitely going to have it next year, and look, you'll definitely be commentating.
NACC 2-1 up with many more to play. Exciting stuff. We should touch on a couple of bigger picture issues that affect both the CSA and the NACC. The first one, frankly, is COVID. I mean, I don't want to say how frustrating, but how difficult has it been? What has the impact of COVID been on the activities of the NACC when it comes to fan representation?
Yeah, it's been challenging because obviously we had Pakistan here this year, and we saw some desperate fans. I think it was at Old Trafford across the road for where the train station is with their drums and trying to motivate the teams from that aspect. But look, I think the important thing is that huge credit goes to the ECB for getting cricket on, and obviously West Indies and Pakistan for coming over and working in difficult environments like the bubble. But from a fan's point of view, I think we would have taken, if we go back to March, April, almost fearing of no cricket at all. So some cricket is better than no cricket, and watching cricket on television is definitely better than no cricket at all. So look, we understand circumstances are difficult, and we're still a sport. We're an enjoyable sport. We're recreational, be at international level, but there's been some huge sacrifices made by key front workers and doctors and nurses and others in the NHS. So we're just grateful that actually we saw some cricket. But look, I'm not sure if you're like me, but I'm getting a little bit tired of these artificial noises with the crowds. It doesn't feel the same as much as you try to think they're there. But the important thing is safety, and hopefully we can get to some normalism for next year.
To be honest, when we're commentating, we don't hear any of that. We make the artificial noises ourselves, frankly. But we're probably not the right people to ask. I then also want to also touch on the recreational game. There can be a danger when something like COVID takes over, that all of these priorities that we've talked about representation, about building bridges from both sides, can get lost a little bit. So when what did what we got of the recreational season look like from the point of view of your objectives and the objectives of the South Asian Action Plan?
Yeah. Well, if you ask the Pakistani community that were fasting, they would probably thought actually it was brilliant, because for the first time in many years they weren't able to play cricket during the fasting period. But so that was it. That would have been a challenge. And I think in some ways the South Asian community, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, they were averse to having teas outside and separation and social distancing. If you see some of the guys playing cricket on a Sunday in the parks, they will get their biryani pots and whatever food they bring, and they'll be sitting socially distanced away under a tree. Don't have the luxuries of changing rooms and being in clubhouses as such. But it did have a knock-on effect. We were given probably a 9 or 10 week season at the recreational level. A lot of teams, and this is where I was very proud of the South Asian cricket leagues. They some of them went to a T20 mode only, Some of them played two T20s in a day with colour clothing and white ball. So very resourceful, very well organised leagues with good people running them. But the challenges were there absolutely, and not having because some local authorities couldn't make grounds available local because they had other priorities with cemeteries and other works that needed, and staff being on furlough. So we learnt a lot, actually. The resilience of the South Asian cricketing community. Almost every league managed to get a cricketing program, which is fantastic. And they're resourceful, they're strong, and they're able to manoeuvre and adapt very easily.
Yeah, there's a word in Hindi called jugaad, which is about resilience and about adaptability to situations. And there's been, well, we've all needed to show a little bit of that, frankly, over this year of 2020. The final point, and it's something that you and I have touched upon, and you touched upon when you were on the show last time, is about it's quite easy to think of the South Asian community as almost intrinsically linked with cricket, as though they're almost mutually sort of almost symbiotic, as though you almost can't have one without the other. So some may ask why the South Asian community needs a particular focus with everything else that's going on. But it's fair to say that actually this isn't something that can be just assumed.
No, and I think you've got to trace back to when the South Asian cricketing community first came to the UK. And look, at the end of the day, I think people and communities are people and communities because they feel comfort in being together, especially when they come to new shores. And they're ultimately products of their own experience and in their own environment, so they feel comfort in that. So, it's transpired that way. It's been there 30, 40 years over the years. And my concern is, and I think we touched on it last time, was that actually probably going into fifth generation now, where is the growth and participation? Where is the interest of the South Asian community? And I've always said that actually 4 or 5 generations in with any community, Polish community, Somalian community, you will become more British. There's no denying that. You will become an environment or a product of the environment that you're in. And I think the point you were trying to make was actually, Nicole, was it's in our DNA. When we first came over, the first generation, third and fourth, but actually we're seeing that the interest is probably not as high as it can and should be. And my fears will always been, when I mentioned last time, what happened to the Caribbean cricketing community. And, in a few generations, maybe in a decade, we may be in a position where numbers are dropping. I know that at least a couple of leagues, especially in East London, weren't even sure after 30 years of being in existence that they would be able to run as a league this year. So that's where the real work is needed. We need to inspire, and we need to get the community investing in their youth. That's really, really crucial, because it is in the DNA. But if you don't engage with children, if you don't bring them in, if you don't spend time with them, we've got the role models, right, Nicole? We've got Moin there, we've got Adil there, and over the years with Ravi and Monty. But the important thing is learn the lessons in some ways, because I set up the African Caribbean Cricket Association. I know what that first generation Caribbean community said to me at the Oval, and you can learn from that. And it's important that the South Asian cricketing community learn from that and invest in their youth.
So finally, as we wrap up, how do we as cricket broadcasters and as media, how do you, the NACC and the CSA as fan groups, ensure that the South Asian cricket community not only maintain their status, cricket communities, I should say, maintain their status within English cricket, but also become a more integral part of it? So, what are your hopes and your goals over the next few years as we come out of COVID, as we try and build the vision of cricket in this country that we want to see? What does that look like?
I think the key word, Nicola, is integration. You can still have your leagues, you can have your identity, you can have your community setups, but integration is crucial. And where you've got really well-meaning plans in All-Stars cricket, that was the participation and growth arm of the ECB in terms of igniting interest in young English children. We firmly believe that actually that same model should be easily transferable into the South Asian community, with Dynamo's cricket coming in now as well. But you need to get the leagues to invest in their children. You need to set up junior leagues. You need to, if there are no junior leagues, you need to take those children into traditional English clubs. They've got fantastic facilities, 150 odd children already. Don't be afraid to go into that world and keep your child involved in cricket. They can have a parent club be in the English club Monday to Saturday or Friday nights, and you can still have your leagues on a Sunday. You can still have the community leagues, because they're a rich heritage part of our growing up in England, and we can't afford to lose the South Asian leagues. All of them, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankans, Tamils, Nepalese now, and hopefully Afghanis as well soon. And it's crucial that we keep supporting them, but keep listening to their needs, and then we can know exactly where they need support.
And that is a perfect way to end. And it's also very much incumbent on those at the top of institutions across England, county boards and national boards and existing league structures, to also keep listening to the needs of their constituents, and particularly the South Asian constituents, so that we can make this wonderful game of cricket in this country in which we live, properly representative of cricket fans all over the place, and wherever they come from and wherever they hope to end up. The CSA have an initiative called Every Cricket Fan, and that's very much what we here at Guerrilla Cricket want to be striving towards and want to help bring about. Gulfraz Riaz, Chair of the National Asian Cricket Council, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole, and we'll see you commentating or playing in the NACC game next year.
Take care.
Guerrilla Cricket. Revolutionary cricket commentary.
Well, thank you very much, Knuckle, for that instructive chat. And we hope that the ACE programme goes from strength to strength. Bear, you're
all right.
And Bear, you're very, very loud in my ear. Why are you so loud? Let me try and turn you down.
I don't know why I'm so loud in your ear. I'm as loud as you on the broadcast. So I'm just resetting the stream. Boom. Just have to change a couple of names and get on with it. Hello, Messages.
Hello, are we on air?
Yeah, you're on air. You're on the radio. I'm just updating this the screen sets for the streams so that we're back on air.
Well, it seems to me we've revised crucial first hours of crucial first session today. That last half hour will have a huge impact on the whole of the series, in my view.
I'm not sure it will. I think Dan Lawrence was a bit, you come in, you're facing Bumrah, you probably never faced him before, you faced 5 balls and you got LBW. So, I'm not so sure about that.
But that shot of Burns has just sort of taken England from a place where India was starting to have to work really hard, to a place where I think their psyche will have changed dramatically, like they belong here.
Well, yeah, possibly, but then, it depends what happens now, doesn't it, really? Next session onwards. All right, I'm just going to restart the stream for our people watching.
I mean, I think the other thing is to be aware of is well, I don't know about the rest of you, but it was a sharp intake of breath from me, although I wasn't on air, when Joe Root scampered that single and there was the run-out chance. Certainly at full speed, I thought he was in trouble. As it turned out, he wasn't. And it was quite instructive, the fact that he went up, while we were waiting for the review, he went up to the gaggle of Indian cricketers and he actually asked them, I'm guessing this from the response that he got from the Indian fielders, he actually asked them whether it was a direct hit or whether it was knocked onto the stumps by Ashwin. And he seemed, once he knew, as Ashwin told him, that he'd knocked it on, once he knew that, he seemed quite happy. But, I mean, if England had lost Root in that manner, you can imagine the mood in the dressing room would have been absolutely catastrophic, I would imagine. Annie's here. Annie! Hello, Annie. Hello. I wasn't able to be on with you last time, was I? But today we have met.
You hid from me last time, I think.
Yeah. You intimidate me, Annie.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Well, have you seen anything this morning, Annie? Have you seen any of it, or have you just?
Yes, I have.
Got up.
No, I bloody well woke up anyway, didn't I?
Well, you had to, didn't you? You couldn't come on at lunchtime and not know the score, could you? Because it was just, you could have woken up and found England were 33 for 8 or something ridiculous like that, and that would have just spoiled your whole day, wouldn't it?
Well, let's face it, Rory's shot wasn't great, was it? It didn't really add to the day.
No, I think Alistair Cook was making the point on Channel 4 that, you've got to be patient in India. You've got to, and okay, we know that shot is played and utilised a lot more by players these days, and we know that a lot of the players play it really well. But, at that stage, he'd been batting so well.
There was no need for it, was there?
Not really.
No need for it.
Not really. I mean, if you're trying to impose yourself on the spinners, yes, fair enough. But I don't think England are going to win in India by imposing themselves on the spinners.
No, and he just hit a really nice 4, hadn't he? So it wasn't like there was a boundary needed in the over or anything. So.
No, indeed not. Now, Bear, I've sent you a message on email. Can you respond to that and sort that out? That's just a little bit of housekeeping on the Gorilla Cricket front. We're just waiting for the second session to start. England are 67 for 2 if you're just getting up, like Annie. And,
no, I've been up for a while.
Actually, I sent Tony a WhatsApp message earlier this morning asking him to do something, and he said he was still in bed. So he had the Bear and Messages in bed with him.
Oh,
I beg your pardon.
I'm not sure how Mrs. Bishop was putting up with that, but obviously she had to.
A bit crowded.
Yeah, very crowded indeed, absolutely.
I think there's a programme in that, actually.
It could well be, actually. Yeah, I mean, everything else has been done in reality TV, but not listening to cricket commentary under the blankets. Now, that is a whole new one.
Yeah.
We seem to be a bit late out for some reason. By my reckoning, we should have been out 2 minutes ago, but we don't seem to be.
They were 4 minutes late finishing.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the review.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, fair enough. Yes, so what have England got to do in this second session, Messi?
I know it's a very hackneyed phrase, but knuckle down. I mean, I think Sibley's got the right idea. Don't worry about how many runs you're scoring, just be there. And if Root's there, he scores runs, whether he's trying to or not, they count. So just survive, Isn't this the sort of place where you'd pay $1 billion for another Pujara to be playing for England?
Well, possibly, but I think England have to look at batting until half an hour after tea tomorrow. That is the only way they're going to win a match like this. They've got to use up time. It's not just about getting the runs here. It's allowing that pitch to deteriorate. If they get a really good first innings score and they can bat long enough, maybe, just maybe, if their spinners bowl well, they can cause India some problems. Anyway, the second session is about to begin. Dominic Sibley, 26 not out, batted for 96 balls, hit just the 3 boundaries. He will be facing first after lunch, I think, or is it going to be Root? No, it's going to be Root. It's going to be Root. I'm getting myself on feedback there.
I am sorry. Yeah, sorry. I've sorted that now. I thought you wanted to hear yourself again.
I did. I just wanted to sure it was going out well. Bumrah will bowl the first ball after the break. In his usual idiosyncratic style, he's into Root outside the off stump, and the ball is allowed to pass through to the keeper. Shall we jingle everyone up then, the Bear?
Yeah, well, you just talked over Dominic Sibley, so that's all right.
I didn't hear it. Didn't hear a word of it.
So there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
And now then, Marty Bumrah, oh, you're bowling again, aren't you? Oh, I thought as much.
I think the only way we can deal with this, Bear, is you need to get a piece of paper and you need to hold it up with jingle written on it while it's playing. Bumrah, 1 for 17. He got rid of Dan Lawrence. And we should talk about Dan Lawrence batting at number 3. Outside the off stump, defended by Root, into the covers. He holds up his bat to say no to his partner, and there is no run. I saw a stat during tea. Dan Lawrence has not batted at number 3 since 2017. Isn't it asking a bit much of a man who's only playing his 3rd test to bat in an unnatural position?
Yeah, and how did he do in 2017?
I'm going to have to come back to you on that one. It was a stat from Andy Zaltzman earlier that I saw, and I didn't register that much of it. Only the fact that batting at 3 was not something that he did very often.
Yeah, he's been put out to dry by Crawley and by Burns, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing if Crawley was fit, he wouldn't have played. So, curious one. Bumrah, just one slip, very wide, and the ball dies on its way through to Rishabh Pant, who fails to take it cleanly anyway. And there is again no run. Yes, I mean, we've been through this with Root before, haven't we?
So
about who's put up as the man to be sacrificed on the altar of Root. At the moment, it's Dan Lawrence, seemingly.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. I think there are times when I understand Root wanting to bat at 4, but there are times when he just can't be that selfish.
No, I agree. Bumrah in again, bowls to Root. Root defends. Probing delivery on or outside the line of stump, up to mid-on, and there is no run. Have we got any more tweets since
yes, Martin Lawrence is perplexed that you're intimidated by the kindest person ever in NHA.
No, I'm not really intimidated.
But Leah says she also tends to get that you intimidate me stuff a lot. Maybe it's because I'm 1.9 meters tall and of a generally cynical disposition.
Oh, yes. I'm very much intimidated by anyone that much taller than me. Defended into the onside by Root. To mid-wicket, there is no run. Root has 4, Sibley has 26.
Knackles says he saw a stat saying it was only the 8th time Rory Burns has played a reverse sweep in Test cricket. It's not an issue playing the shot if you've mastered it, but it wasn't part of the game plan.
And so unnecessary.
The conversation with the coaches. Yeah.
Yep. Bumrah into Root. Root's going to get a single here as he pushes into a gap on the offside. And that'll do. That will keep him the strike for the second over of the afternoon. England 68 for 2. Messi.
Well, Leah's commenting on some exciting news that she's looking forward to hearing Knackle talking with Emily Rainford-Brent at tea time in the recording we're going to be playing then, which is great.
Did you call her Emily?
Ebony. I'm sorry. I've done that before. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I always get Emmeline Pankhurst. I always call her Emily as well. So it does happen. Ashwin's going to continue, and he's got a jingle that hopefully goes like this. Well, he's going to be coming in from the Anna Pavilion end, which is where proceedings started this morning. He's just rubbing that ball down the back of his thigh and fixing it between the fingers. And he'll be coming over the wicket to bowl to Root. Root is forward in defence. Flattish delivery. And the bowler does his own fielding. There is a man at leg slip and an orthodox slip as well. They're the only 2 men in catching positions. He's in again. Root is forward. There is a semblance of turn, but he covers the spin quite easily. And Rishabh comes from behind the stumps to do the fielding. And Root settles down again. As Ashwin fires in one much quicker. This time he goes onto the back foot as Root did so well in Sri Lanka and just guides this into the offside. and there is no run. Is that the sea? Is that the sea?
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's another tiny little ground on a roundabout by the beach. A little bit of drift there from Ashwin, but dealt with well by Root, who steers it up to mid-off and runs through for the single. He goes to 6, England 69 for 2.
Are there black armbands for Captain Tom, do we think? Or
Captain Sir Tom, or Sir Captain Tom. I'm not sure which round it is.
Are they for him, or I don't know?
Yes, they are.
They are.
They are, yes. Yes, indeed.
I think he's been promoted to Major Tom.
Well, I'm sure we haven't done that joke before. But it's worth hearing again. Sibley will face his first ball after lunch. He's batted very well for 26. An extra fielder comes in at short square leg for him. And once more, it's quite flat from Ashwin and defended to the straighter of the two men close in on the leg side.
This is perfect for Sibley's patient batting, isn't it?
Well, it is, and I think he's taken immense confidence from that Sri Lanka innings.
Yeah.
This is really quick through the air from Ashwin. I didn't see how quick, because it didn't come up on the screen, but he's definitely firing in it at the moment. Defended. End of the over, England 69 for 2. Messi.
So, hello to Udit Raj, who's joined us on YouTube. And Mog is with us. He says, I was away for an hour or so, and upon my return, can you imagine how surprised I was to see Hendo's predictions of utter doom had not yet come to pass? Yet.
I don't know. I think it was pretty doom-laden. I mean, considering the first hour and a half was... I was almost getting a little bit bored with how...
No, it was proper Test cricket. They were playing properly.
They were. No, you're absolutely right, Annie. But, you know, it just seemed a little bit too easy for the batsman. Anyway, Bumrah is in, bowls to Root. He's got a man on Hayden now, which is the position very close to the non-striker, or where the non-striker is trying to back up. We call it the on Hayden because I think it was Matthew Hoggard who positioned a man for him there way back in the early 2000s.
Oh, ancient history, that.
Ancient history, I know. It's frightening, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
How young we were then, Annie.
Oh, I know.
What happened to us?
We grew up.
We grew up, we did, it's true. Here's a Bumrah, who's growing up very nicely as a fast bowler. Oh, there is swing there. And Root has to get right onto the front foot, defend that with bat, very close to pad. Looks like Bumrah is in a hurry to get back to his mark, to get another delivery in. He's maybe just trying to hurry Root up, not give him time to just relax between deliveries.
Root should be wearing gold, shouldn't he? Fully gold lame.
What, for his 100th test?
Yeah, I think that should be what happened.
That's a very good idea. I think it's something to put to the ECB next time he talks.
Yes.
He's in again, full, clipped off the legs, but he's got a man at square leg, very close to a mid-wicket. There's not much of a gap between those two men. And we've also got the on Hayden, as I said. So an interesting leg side field for Joe Root. And that may be a plan that they want to get him to clip off his legs, maybe not lose control a little bit over that shot. Sometimes batsmen do, just overbalance slightly and chip it in the air. So he might be looking for that as a way of getting through Root's defences. Anyway, he's on his way again, on the gallop, in, bowls to Root. Root dabs this to Gully. And once again, holds the bat up to say to Sibley, no, there's no run there. And the score remains 69 for 2. Messi.
Mog says, how fucked is the British system that a 100-year-old man has to shuffle up and down his miserable little backyard to raise money for your fucking health service? R.I.P. Sir Captain Tom.
Well, my mum is confused. My mum, who is 91, is confused by this advert which says... protect the NHS, save lives. Because she says, isn't it the NHS that's supposed to be protecting us? I have to explain to her that actually, yes, that is true, but in the circumstances, as this is dabbed to Gully again, at the moment, we all have a duty to try and stay out of hospital.
Nothing wrong with your mum's mind, is there?
No. If I'm that good at 91, well, I won't even get to 91. I'll have disappeared under a pile of newspapers and pastries.
You got to go.
You got to go. That's the way to go. Under a pile of newspapers and pastries. That will be written on my tomb.
Yes.
I get a tomb. I mean, how do you go about getting a tomb?
Well, that's the thing. You're on your tomb. You'll probably say, "I won't even bloody get a tomb."
Yeah, exactly. And then someone said, "We've proved you wrong." All short and way down the leg side from Bumrah. Just trying something different towards the end of the over. It's given us a wide, in fact. And England will take that. They go into the 70s. 70 for 2. Root
That's
has
a
60,
T20
26.
wide. That's never a test match wide.
I tell you what that was, Messages. That was an Andrew Tye wide to James Vince on 98 not out.
Oh, yeah, maybe I misread it. It was way over his head. I didn't realise how high that was.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that's not wide, Messi.
Well, I tell you what.
Sorry about that.
The umpire should have refused to give it.
Yeah, I reckon that's exactly right. You know, they had 3 overs to go or something. If they were ever going to make a mistake, that was it.
Bumrah.
That was a no ball as well.
Oh, there's swing there. There is swing definitely now. Is it reverse? We'll try and get a look up at the ball a bit more closely when we get a slow motion replay to see whether he's getting reverse already after 30 overs. Anyway, that's the end of that over. England are 70
given a
for 2.
no ball.
And Root has 6, Sibley 26.
And Neil Franklin says, Joe looks very serious, grim, jaw set today. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or not. I think he looks actually really pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Mog carries on. Anyway, the chances of the NHS actually getting the merest whiff of that money is absolutely zero.
Well, there is that, Mog.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not going out until at the earliest September. I've decided.
This is
the only way.
perfect for you, isn't it?
It is really, as long as there's cricket. Ashwin starts a new over, played on the front foot by Sibley to the man at forward short leg, and there is no run.
It's interesting, you know, there's been a lot of criticism of Australia for pulling out of the South African tour. And yet I look at it and I think you couldn't pay me £1 million to go to South Africa or England at the moment, whether it's play cricket or anything.
Whipped away by Sibley. Past a man diving at mid-wicket. He couldn't stop it, so they're going to get through for 2.
I think the point is, though, that they did manage to play England and India.
Yes. I mean, that's rather than UAE, you mean?
Yes.
We played England in England at the time when the rate in England and in Australia was the same.
Yeah.
Defended again to the man at short leg. The thing is, though, I mean, I agree with you, Messi, but Australia have got form on this, haven't they, really? I mean, they must be the nation that's pulled out of the most test series in history.
I think that's true, yeah.
I mean, if you think back to the great Ashes of 2005, there was even doubt then, wasn't there, after the horror of 7-7, that they weren't going to come over and play that Ashes.
Yeah, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Forgotten that.
here comes Ashwin, throws it up, and just reaching for it a little bit there. Sibley feeling for it.
Just imagine if the 2005 Ashes hadn't gone ahead.
I know. Well, just actually, if the 2005 Ashes hadn't gone ahead, we probably wouldn't still have to be listening to Michael Vaughan. Delivery defended to mid-wicket by Sibley, and there is no run.
Why didn't Australia pull out?
Exactly. See what you've done, Messi.
I'm sorry about that.
In comes Ashwin to complete his 12th over, and that's nicely played by Sibley. He really opened the face of the bat there and aimed it away into the offside. Played it pleasantly enough. 72 for 2. Messers.
Yeah, so Mayank says, don't worry, Gorilla Hendo, there's so much cricket until September you could overdose on it. Neil Franklin says the Bullingdon Club don't give a fuck about us, they just want to save money.
True.
Mog says, just ask Bangladesh, Zimbabwe and Afghanistan how great it is to play Australia.
Oh, yes, well, they just said to Afghanistan, you can't come to Australia, basically, didn't they? Earlier this year? Or where are we? We're in February, late last year.
Yeah. And Leah says, does anyone remember that last year when we said that Australia being docked 4 points didn't matter in the grand scheme of things? Good times. Because it means now that New Zealand have definitely qualified for the World Test Championship.
Yep, indeed. Bumrah is going to start a new over. I have to tell you something that will get the bear extraordinarily excited. This is flicked away behind square leg, and I'll tell you why he's going to be excited as they come back for the second. He has got not just one mid-wicket, not two mid-wickets, but he has got 3 mid-wickets. There are 3 mid-wickets for Joe Root. The bear is celebrating. He's never been quite as happy as he is now. And the thing is, Bear, Root still got a single. Answer me that then. Answer me that. Bumrah then will continue 74 for 2. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Guerrilla Cricket. I think you are anyway. That's what I'm doing. Bumrah is in, bowls to Root, and Root defends with the angle of the ball. Coming in from into his leg stump, he plays it to the man, or one of the triumvirates of
multiple पे नहीं लगाया. Like एक हमें minimum 1 domain चाहिए. मैं मतलब इस space पे लगा रहा हूँ इसे कि हमें at least मतलब user एक domain डाल दे, ठीक है, and scan profile name. बाकी चीजें वो नहीं भी डालेगा तो भी चलेगा, ठीक है.
ओके मेरा यार मैं उसी पे काम कर रहा हूँ पीसीए इंटीग्रेशन पे. उसके कुछ पीछे का कुछ बैकएंड कोड लिखा है, अभी कर रहा हूँ, प्रोग्रेस नहीं है, तो कुछ अभी ऐसा नहीं है मतलब दिखाने लायक अभी.
ओके मेरे ख्याल से मेरा भी दिखाने लायक नहीं है, बट ये ओनली फॉर डेवलपर्स.
जफर भाई एक चीज मतलब आपको कल आप बोल रहे थे ना गो थ्रू करने के लिए, राइट?
हाँ अभी हम वही कर रहे थे. अभी कॉल के बाद कर लेते हैं गो थ्रू. अभी कुछ काफी चीजें तो मतलब अभी हमने कुछ कमेंट्स भी डाले हैं.
अच्छा आपने किया एक्सप्लोर?
हाँ
मतलब आपने किया, रिव्यू किया?
हाँ मतलब अभी कर ही रहे थे, इन प्रोसेस थे, बट अभी एक काम करते हैं, कॉल इसी के फौरन बाद कंटिन्यू कर लेते हैं, तो ऑन द फ्लाई मतलब हो जाएगा ना, ज्यादा अच्छा होगा.
कॉल पे ठीक है, कॉल पे कर लो. बाकी आप
मतलब
खुद करते हैं क्योंकि साथ में करेंगे तो पता नहीं. मैं आपको मतलब वो फंक्शनैलिटी वाइज वो गो थ्रू करा दूंगा. बाकी रिव्यू आप अकेले
5-10 मिनट का खेल है, वो पूरा हो जाएगा तो अच्छा रहेगा. हम समझा भी देंगे ना कि क्या क्या है. कुछ चीजें हमको दिख गई हैं ऐसी जो अभी हम समझा देंगे तो क्लियर हो जाएंगी.
ठीक है ठीक है.
नहीं तो बाद में करना हो तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, हम अपना कमेंट डाल के छोड़ देते हैं.
नहीं कर ले, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. मैं सोच रहा आप करते कि एक मतलब क्योंकि मैंने तो कोड लिखा ही है ना, मैं फिर से आ जाऊं आपके साथ.
समझ में आ गया कोड, मतलब वॉक थ्रू की जरूरत नहीं है, समझ में आ गया. अब
कुछ डालो कमेंट, आप करो, आप डालो दबा के कमेंट, और मेरे को कुछ चाहिए होगा तो मैं आपको पिंग कर लूंगा क्लैरिफिकेशन के लिए.
चलो ठीक है.
बाकी कॉल तो कर लेंगे, कॉल में क्या.
ठीक. बाकी स्टेटस या चैट पे डालना है स्टेटस.
देख लो यार, वो तो आई थिंक वो डेमो तो अब होगा ही ना स्प्रिंट का, तो डालो ना डालो बात तो दिखेगा ही ना.
अच्छा डेमो कब है? डेमो
यार लास्ट जो स्प्रिंट उसमें डेमो देखा ना फ्रंट एंड का,
वो तो नेक्स्ट वीक है शायद ना.
मतलब जब भी होगा तो वो उसमें एडिशनल चीजें दिखेंगी.
अच्छा नहीं ये तो मैं सीएलएम वीकली वाले स्टेटस में बोल रहा था. जैसे अमित सर अभी कॉल पे नहीं है ना, तो हम डाल देते हैं, तो फिर माफी की जरूरत
है ना. आज वीकली कॉल है ना शाम को.
ओके हाँ ठीक है. बताना क्या कर रहे हैं और क्या होगा. मेरे ख्याल से कब है नेक्स्ट
आगे प्रोसीड हुआ कुछ?
क्या कह रहे हो?
अंकित का क्या हुआ, उसका हैंसीकॉप वाला?
आज मैं उसका एग्जीक्यूट करने जा रहा हूँ टेस्टिंग, तो आज मेरा यही टास्क है. कल उसका वो बाकी चीजें भी करनी थी, तो कल उसको जीरा पे अपलोड कर रहा था टेस्ट केसेस, तो अब आज एग्जीक्यूट करूंगा.
कर लो यार, टेस्ट करके खत्म कर दो. वो ना
आज ये खत्म हो जाएगा, आज ये खत्म हो जाएगा भाई. आज का मेरा यही लास्ट डे है आज.
मैं तुम्हें सीधे बता रहा हूँ, घुमा के नहीं बता रहा हूँ. तुम भी पहले जाओगे, मैं भी पहले जाऊंगा.
नहीं आज ये कंप्लीट हो जाएगा.
नहीं हो
तो
जाएगा
कर
भाई।
लेते हैं, मतलब ये ऐसे ही था, बट कर लेते हैं, उसको खत्म कर ले यार, क्योंकि हर बार बार कॉल में आता है ना वो, तो
नहीं
पहाड़
आज
बन गया।
आज ये खत्म हो जाएगा।
क्योंकि फिर ना क्या होता है ना, सॉरी ये ट्रैक्टर आ गया रास्ते में। तो क्या होता है ना,
ट्रैक्टर आ गया कहाँ हो भाई?
अरे यार बालकनी में ऊपर ही था कहीं पे धूप में, तो थोड़ा तो मेन रोड पे ही है।
डर गया भाई कि किसानों ने ट्रैक्टर ऊपर बालकनी ना चढ़ा दे।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, वो वाला नहीं है, वो वाला नहीं। कि यार बाहर कॉल में आता है ना, तो वो तो मतलब वो तुमसे भी, मतलब फिर वो मेरी तरफ भी देखते हैं कि ये कि अभी तक करा नहीं पाया, ये हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है,
नहीं
तो
आज
उसको
वही
खत्म
होगा।
करते हैं शाम को। आप करो एग्जीक्यूट, शाम को कॉल करते हैं कितना हो गया, वो देखते हैं एक बार है।
हाँ बस उसमें कहीं ना फंस जाए, एग्जीक्यूट करते हो सारे, बस रन करने सिनारियो बस।
अगर भाई कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही है तो तुम ग्रुप में डाला करो कि ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, ताकि
ठीक है
सबको मतलब विजिबिलिटी रहे कि क्या चल रहा है उधर, है ना। ग्रुप में
ठीक है।
मतलब जनरल वाले में डाल दो,
हाँ
या सीएलएम के टैग में डाल दो, जहाँ पे सब लोग हैं, जहाँ पे लाइनर्स भी है,
हम्म,
राइट। ऐसे अब क्या होता है ना, हम पीछे पीछे कॉल करते रहते हैं, किसी को क्या पता हम क्या कर रहे
बिल्कुल।
हैं, हाँ। तो अगर तुम्हारा कुछ एसपीएस अकाउंट से रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम आता है,
हम्म,
उठाओ उसको, स्क्रीनशॉट पकड़ो, डाल दो ग्रुप में, पेस्ट कर दो, ठीक है।
ठीक है
एटलीस्ट रहेगा ना कि ये प्रॉब्लम आई, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम के साथ हम नहीं कर पाएंगे ना, राइट।
बिल्कुल।
अगर कहीं कोई मतलब ब्लॉकर टाइप से होगा, तो फिर आगे कैसे प्रोसीड कर पाएंगे। जैसे एचपीसीआई अकाउंट की कॉन्फ़िगरेशन बहुत ही क्रिटिकल है आपके केस में, जो वैलिडेशन पॉलिसी वगैरह है, अगर उससे कोई एरर आएगी तो हम आगे टेस्ट कैसे करेंगे, राइट।
बिल्कुल।
तो वो चीज उठा के आप ग्रुप में डाल दिया करो, ठीक है।
ठीक है।
आप और कुछ नहीं।
ठीक है ठीक। ठीक है देखा, उस पर बैठ जाते हैं। एक मुझे वैलिडेशन में किसी चीज का डाउट हो रहा है, वो पूछ लेता हूँ तुमसे। ठीक है, सिनेरियो। ठीक है, बाकी ओके ओके। ओके ओके ओके। ठीक है, अभी बैठना है, अभी मतलब अभी फ्री हो तो अभी बैठ जाएंगे। ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है। हाँ मैं भी अपनी चीजें क्लियर कर लेता हूँ। ओके ठीक है। मेरे ख्याल से इट्स ऑन। ओके
यूजर एग्जिस्टिंग है कि नहीं, मतलब अकाउंट आईडी किसकी एपीआई है वो? यूबी सिक्योर की एपीआई है क्या?
हाँ
अच्छा यार,
अच्छा
ये
अच्छा अच्छा।
तो अभी मतलब पता कर पाना ऐसे मुश्किल है। अब आई डोंट नो, अगर किसी एपीआई पे वो ऑथेंटिकेशन लगा हुआ है और वो एपीआई आपको मालूम है, तो उस एपीआई पे वो भेज के देख लो। नहीं, स्कैन वाली पे ऑथेंटिकेशन लगा नहीं है तो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता, चाहे भेजो ना भेजो। कोई अभी जो आप हरवीर के साथ जिसमें आपने इंटीग्रेशन किया है ना, जिसमें आपको पता है कि बैकएंड पे वो एपीआई में ऑथेंटिकेशन ऑलरेडी लगा हुआ है, उस एपीआई में अगर अकाउंट का कुछ यूज हो रहा है, तो उसमें आप भेज के ट्राई कर लेना। वरना वरना वो जब तक बैकएंड पे कोई मिल नहीं जाती, तब तक होगा नहीं है, पता नहीं चलेगा।
यार आप हेडर में ऐड कर दो अकाउंट आईडी, है ना। अभी अभी यूज नहीं हो रही है, मेरे को नहीं लगता कि यूज हो रही है कहीं पे। अभी केवल टोकन यूज हो रहा है बस, ठीक है, ऑथराइजेशन टोकन।
अ,
आईडी आप
वैसे
ऐड कर
हमारा
दो जब।
वैसे वो हमारा ना एक मतलब डाउट है कि वो इनक्रिप्टेड होके आ रही नहीं आ रही, क्योंकि वो ना मतलब उसमें 14 15 ही डिजिट्स है।
यार
बेसिकली।
जैसी आपके पास आ रही है उठा के वैसी भेज दो बात करो।
हाँ हम वैसे ही कर रहे हैं।
और वैसे भी टैब पे कर रहे हो प्रोडक्शन होती है, टेस्ट अकाउंट है वो ऐड कर दो उसमें। आपको हेडर भेजना है, सीधे की डाल के वैल्यू डाल के भेज दो, बात करो जो आपसे। और क्या, आप उधर जब कुछ है ही नहीं तो क्यों दिमाग लगाना।
ठीक है
जब
ठीक
कुछ चाहिए होगा तो पॉल बताएगा आपको हमको कि यार ये इस की से आई, उससे आना चाहिए, तो चेंज कर दो, है ना। ठीक है देन, आई थिंक और कुछ बचा है।
नहीं बस नहीं है।
चलो फिर भाई, धूप में बैठो, काम करो, मजे करो। हम जफर करते हैं अपने कनेक्ट 15-20 मिनट में।
हाँ मतलब हम तो कह रहे हैं अभी कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं अगर कुछ नहीं है तो, क्योंकि हम वो कमेंट वही काम ही अभी वही कर रहे हैं। अगर इफ यू आर फ्री तो अभी कर
ठीक
लेते
है
हैं,
ठीक
वरना
है,
कोई नहीं।
5 मिनट दो फिर, 5 मिनट।
स्कैन का जो ये क्लिक पे मतलब वो भेजेंगे पीछे पेंडिंग वाला। ओके तो उसमें जैसे उसने बताया है क्या पॉल ने कि क्या कहते हैं कि स्कैन हार्डली मतलब 2-3 सेकंड या 4 सेकंड लेता है, मतलब रिक्वेस्ट जाना सर्वर पे आना लगभग उतना। तो मे बी हम 5 सेकंड्स वैसे मान के चल सकते हैं क्योंकि बटन वाला अप्रोच ना वो डेनिस ने बोला भी नहीं है। अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, वो फॉर्मेट वो लोकल वाला ही डलेगा टाइम का फॉर्मेट, और बैकएंड में सेंड करते हुए ना हम यूटीआई जो फॉर्मेट होता है मतलब यूटीसी या जो फॉर्मेट होता है ना मतलब एक कोई भी ये जीएमटी जो भी बोलेंगे स्टैंडर्ड उस पे पीछे भेज देंगे, बस इतना ही होगा, है ना। और बाकी मेरे ख्याल से हाँ हाँ बाकी मेरे ख्याल से जाफर भाई बाकी बैकएंड से मतलब ये होगा ना जब हमें डेटा मतलब कॉल करना होगा तो आप उसको मतलब लोकल टाइम में कन्वर्ट करके भेजोगे या उसे हमें फ्रंट पे क्योंकि
यार वो टाइम जो आएगा बैकएंड से वो एक ही पर्टिकुलर किसी टाइम जोन का आएगा, तो वो आपको यूआई पे उस टाइम जोन से अपने टाइम जोन में कैसे दिखाना है वो देखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि लोकल टाइम जोन कौन सा है क्लाइंट का वो हमें बैकएंड को कैसे पता चलेगा, वो तो
हाँ वो हमें ही
हाँ।
करना पड़ेगा मतलब हमें
हाँ
बस फ्रंट से टाइम लेके बैक में भेजना होगा विद उसका टाइम जोन के साथ मतलब कौन सा टाइम जोन पे है ना।
मतलब ये जो डेटा आएगा ना बैकएंड से वो एक ही टाइम जोन पे आएगा, फ्रंट एंड पे आपको वो टाइम जोन पे कन्वर्जन वाला काम करना पड़ेगा।
हाँ फ्रंट एंड पे हमें दोनों ही करने पड़ेंगे उसमें जो उसका टाइम पिक करेंगे तो उसके साथ उसका कौन सा टाइम जोन में है वो पिक
हाँ
करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि एक ही टाइम जोन में मल्टीपल वो हो सकते हैं ना मतलब अलग अलग टाइम। ठीक है ठीक है।
एक टाइम जोन में अलग अलग टाइम मतलब।
अच्छा अच्छा हाँ मैं कंफ्यूज हो गया मतलब एक टाइम जोन में एक होगा मतलब वो होता है ना आपका क्या कहते हैं जैसे नॉर्थ से साउथ जाते हो आप तो आपका टाइम चेंज हो जाता है मतलब एक ही स्ट्रिप पे अलग अलग टाइम जोन आ जाता है।
यार पता नहीं यार, हमें तो लगता है कि टाइम जोन का के हिसाब के अंदर टाइम एक ही रहता है शायद,
हाँ एक
ऐसा
टाइम
कुछ था।
वो मेरा बोलना गलत हो गया वो टाइम मतलब एक जोन के अंदर एक ही रहेगा, है ना। बस ये कि
हाँ
हर उसका स्टेट का अलग हो जाता है जैसे यूएस में है ना यूएस में हर स्टेट में अलग टाइम जोन हो जाता है।
नहीं, यूएस में टाइम जोन भी तो अलग अलग है देखो। ईस्टर्न स्टैंडर्ड टाइम है और पैसिफिक स्टैंडर्ड टाइम है, एक ही कंट्री के अंदर दो टाइम जोन है, इसलिए टाइम अलग है ये। लेकिन अंदर का पता नहीं यार डिटेल, और इसके अलावा क्या है मे बी
हाँ इसमें
देखना।
ये थोड़ा सा टाइम जोन वाला कॉम्प्लेक्स है मे बी देखते हैं प्लगइन ना यूज करके जो डायरेक्ट यूज आएगा तो सही है प्लगइन में नहीं तो फिर मोमेंट जेएस और ये सब आती है ना बट विदाउट उसका देख लेंगे हम।
हाँ वैसे मोमेंट जेएस अच्छा है, मतलब आई वुड से कि यूज करना हो तो अच्छा ही है यार।
हाँ वैसे
वो
वो
सब
अच्छा है।
सब कुछ कवर कर लेता है।
अभी हाँ अभी यूज नहीं किया हमने बट हाँ क्योंकि प्रीवियस कंपनी में भी मैंने जो यूज किया था टाइम जोन वाला वो वैसे ही नॉर्मली जावास्क्रिप्ट में यूज किया था मतलब उसमें कोई जेएस नहीं लगाई थी अलग से और उसमें सिंगापुर का टाइम वो करना था कैच जबकि इंडिया में चलता था और वो पता नहीं नोएडा सर्वर था तो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाता था उनका टाइम चेंज हो जाता था पीछे से आते हुए। ठीक हाँ वो कुकीज से रिलेटेड है कॉल। ठीक है वो 5:32 6 है। ठीक है कुकीज में तो कुछ नहीं पूछा ना, बैकएंड से रिलेटेड फ्रंट एंड का ही है ना बस हमें। ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है। हाँ उसमें काफी सारे लोग हैं। हाँ उसमें है भी, काफी सारे लोग हैं इसमें। हाँ बहुत सभी हैं उसमें बीएसएस की टीम के। ठीक है लाइनेस भी है उसमें। ठीक है मेरी टेनिस लाइनेस दोनों है। जिम भी है, लुइस भी है, लुई जिसे टेनिस लुई कहता है, लुई भी है, चला लिए सब है। ठीक है फिर हम ऑफलाइन कैच करते हैं आपको। ठीक है अभी कर लेते हैं हम। ठीक है हाँ इसको डिस्कनेक्ट करके उधर कर लेते हैं, ये भी है ना। ठीक है अंकित ओके
ठीक है
बाय
चलो।
बाय। हेलो ओके। अरे कल मैंने जो बताया था ना तुम्हें, अपना एक चेंज किया था बस, सिंगल कमेंट चेंज किया था, उसमें भी एरर थ्रो कर दिया था। दिखाओ तुम्हें एरर क्या, वो गेट गेट वाला नहीं था। अरे यार अरे सोचो ये नया प्रोजेक्ट है पूरा, इसमें कुछ नहीं किया है। जो डैशबोर्ड है ना ये देख रहा, ये लाइन मैंने हटाई, रिमूव करी, है ना। तो ये GUI खोला मैंने सिंपल सा, जो गिट का है। ठीक है इसमें ये लाइन मैंने रिमूव कर दी थी, है ना। ठीक है दैट्स ऑल, और कुछ नहीं है। यहाँ अनलॉक तो अपने आप आता है। स्टेजिंग करी, कमिट किया, ठीक है कमिट, ये कमेंट डाला और पुश किया। ठीक है फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं ऐसे कर देता कमिट, क्या हो गया। ये पहले कमिट करते हैं ना, सर्वर पे ही करते हैं ना इसमें कमिट, फिर पुश करते हैं ना। ठीक है कमिट किया ना। ठीक है ओके। अब ये देखो एरर थ्रो कर दिया इसने। मतलब कुछ नहीं किया है तो एरर थ्रो किया है। पहले लग रहा था ना कि नॉर्मली एरर हो जा रहा है। पता नहीं क्यों इशू आ रहा है ये error। अब इसके लिए पता नहीं किसको अप्रोच करना पड़ेगा। प्रशांत को तो कर, आईडी मतलब वो तो बैच में चेक होगा ना। कैसे चेक होता है इसमें, गिट यूजर नेम। हाँ ये रहा डिफर क्लीन, ये क्या कैसा, ये रहा। हम्म, पता नहीं है, देखना पड़ेगा कोई गिट का। फ्रंट एंड कहाँ से, इसी में यहीं से, CMD से। अरे हाँ, तुमने चेंजेस किए थे ना कुछ। अच्छा, उन चेंजेस से पहले मुझे एक क्वेश्चन था इसमें कि कहाँ गया सिस्टम। इसमें वैलिडेशन का ना मैं ऐसे इफ एल्स में ही लगा दिया था, ठीक है। नहीं नहीं, फॉर्मिक नहीं लगाया मैंने, मैंने वैसे ही नॉर्मली लगा दी, मैंने ज़्यादा छेड़ा नहीं। लोड क्यों नहीं हो रहा? ये है ना, ठीक है। तो मैंने क्या किया, मैंने सिंपल दो में वैलिडेशन लगाया, एक ये इस इनपुट पे, ठीक है, एक इस पे, मतलब ये एम्प्टी है, तो ये सक्सेस नाउ एरर दे दे, मतलब फिलहाल के लिए ऐसे जैसे सबमिट पे होता, सबमिट पे क्लिक पे। ओके, अच्छा तुम ये कह रहे हो कि ओके इसे डिसेबल रखो जब तक ये एक्टिविटी पूरी ना हो दोनों। ओके अच्छा फिलहाल दो हो सकते हैं, मतलब दो ऑप्शन है, मतलब एक तो ये हो गया कि इस पे क्लिक किया, ठीक है, एरर, या तो एरर ऐसे दिखा दिया प्रोफाइल, इन्होंने तो कुछ मेंशन नहीं किया हुआ, या तो टोस्टिफाई टाइप एरर दिखाया, ठीक है। दो चीजें हुई, फिलहाल मैंने ऐसे रख दिया। आप अच्छा, मैंने टाइप करके हटाया ही नहीं है। हाँ, ओके। हाँ हाँ, ऑन चेंज पे ओके। ठीक है ठीक है, मैं ऑन चेंज पे इसको रिमूव कर दूंगा। और ठीक है, और एक मैंने सिंगल इस डोमेन में दिया है, क्योंकि मेरे अकॉर्डिंग जो मुझे लगता है यही मैंडेटरी है, ये मैंडेटरी नहीं है, ये भी मैंडेटरी नहीं है, और उसके बाद जो अगर हम और ऐड करें मल्टीपल, तो वो भी मैंडेटरी नहीं है ना। ठीक है, तो सिंपल एक सिंगल में ही वो कर दिया है फिलहाल के लिए। ओके, और क्या था? अच्छा, एक तुमने ओके जो तुमने बताया था इसके लिए लिस्ट लानी है मुझे, तो जब मैं क्लिक इसके क्रिएट इवेंट पे क्लिक करता हूँ, ठीक है, तो मुझे ये लोड करवाना पड़ेगा, राइट? तो इसका सिर्फ मुझे एक ही आइटम चाहिए, और वो मुझे किसी टेबल पे कहीं पे रखना पड़ेगा, मतलब किसी एरे में रखना पड़ेगा या तो लिस्ट में रखना पड़ेगा, जैसे डेटा लिस्ट भी रखते हैं ना, ठीक है। और उससे जब ये नेम यहाँ पर नेम डालेगा ना कोई, यूनिक नेम होना चाहिए ना उसके लिए, तो मुझे यानी वो पोस्ट एपीआई कॉल करानी पड़ेगी और लिस्ट में ऐड कराना पड़ेगा। ओके, इसमें पास था। एक जगह पे रखनी पड़ेंगे वो तो है। ठीक है, चलो मैं इस पे देख लेता हूँ। ठीक है, तुम अपने चेंजेस कमिट कर देना, मैं इसमें हल्का सा मतलब उसमें कॉपी पेस्ट, ये मतलब अपने कॉपी पेस्ट कर दूंगा फिर, ठीक है। और मैं देखता हूँ इसका इशू, गिट का क्या इशू है। एक बार कोई बंदा होगा मे बी गिट का एक्सपर्ट, है ना, अमित सर से पूछता हूँ, एक्सपर्ट हो जो इसको मतलब देख ले, बता दे कि क्या इशू आ रहा है, मतलब जो गिट का इशू आ रहा है मेरा बेमतलब में, मतलब ये, हाँ, है ना, क्योंकि ये एरर्स जब मैं सर्च कर रहा हूँ ना ऑनलाइन भी, तो एज सच डायरेक्ट रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिल रहा है इनका, मतलब काइंड ऑफ गेट वाइज नहीं मिल रहा है। हाँ हाँ, तो ये पता नहीं है। हम्म। हाँ, कुछ भी नहीं किया, मतलब बेसिकली टोकन डाला है, ठीक है, एनपीएम रन किया मैंने एक, और यान इंस्टॉल रन किया है, क्योंकि इन्होंने इनका ना एक मैसेज आता है इसमें, एरर टाइप, ठीक है, आई एम नॉट श्योर वो कहाँ से आता है, शायद मे बी यहीं पढ़ा हो इनका इसमें रीड मोर में। बट उसमें क्या है, उन्होंने कहते हैं कि आप यान इंस्टॉल भी कर लो और बेटर है, मतलब यान के साथ कुछ मतलब एनपीएम पैकेज में एरर्स होते हैं कई बार, ठीक है, तो यान इंस्टॉल कर दो। तो फिर मैं दोनों ही इंस्टॉल करता हूँ, ठीक है, टोकन डाला और उसके बाद रन करता हूँ और मेरा ऑटोमेटिकली रन हो जाता है, मतलब बिना किसी इशू के टोकन जनरेट करके डाल देता हूँ नया। बट क्या कहते हैं उसे, फिर कुछ चेंज ही नहीं किया मैंने और ये एरर थ्रो कर दिया। कौन सी? अच्छा ये वाली, एक सेकेंड वो ऐसे कर देता हूँ, वो यहाँ पर नहीं होगा। अच्छा डेटा ये लास्ट लिखा है ना तुमने, पोर्ट डिस्प्ले डेटा लास्ट। इसके अंदर वैल्यू 443 हमने दो जगह किया है, ठीक है, एक ये, ठीक है, और एक ये डिफॉल्ट एंट्री, ठीक है, पोर्ट डिफॉल्ट पोर्ट ये है इसको। मतलब पोर्ट चेंज हो सकता है ना, तभी इन्होंने डाला होगा मुझे। नहीं ये मुझे पता नहीं है इसके बारे में। इसके बाद आई कैट वो टीपी कौन सा कहते हैं उसे, उसमें होगा। एक सेकंड देख लेते हैं। हम्म ठीक है सर। यहाँ पर तो ना तुम ये कर दो, डिफॉल्ट पोर्ट की जगह ना इसको ऐसे कर देते हैं, पोर्ट डिफॉल्ट पोर्ट, ठीक है, प्लेस होल्डर में ही, राइट। ओके यार यहाँ पर तो लिखा है पोर्ट अथॉरिटी डेटाबेस, टीएलएस एसएसएल। रिलेटेड पोर्ट में तो इतने डालेंगे 80 81 80 80 80 80 90 पोर्ट तो फिर यानी। हम्म, मेरे ख्याल से पोर्ट कुछ भी हो सकता है, या तो किसी को जो डायनेमिकली डालना हो अपना, मान लो किसी का पर्सनल सर्वर है बिल्कुल ही। इनपुट टाइम नंबर ही रखो, इसे नंबर ही डाले इसमें। हाँ डिफॉल्ट, अच्छा पहले से ही पास ऑन कराते, मैंने ऐसे रखा हुआ है। ओके, मैंने ऐसे डाल दिया था। ठीक है, प्लेस होल्डर ही डाल दिया था मैंने। ओके, यार इसको टेस्ट कर लेता हूँ मैं। चेक नहीं किया मैंने, आईपी वाला डालना है। प्लीज। आईपी। डोमेन का हाँ, 8 डॉट। अच्छा, रेंज रेंज हाँ। हम्म, हम्म, एक डोमेन, एक आईपी रेंज, और एक और करना पड़ेगा मुझे उसकी कंडीशन में कि इफ मतलब। ओके। ये वाला, हाँ ये वाला मिस हो गया कि एक तो मतलब आईपी के साथ में जो ये डोमेन है ना, ये मतलब डिफॉल्ट पोर्ट ये डिसेबल हो जाए इसका, मतलब इसे एंटर ना कर पाए। अच्छा मान लो जैसे मैंने यहाँ आईपी डाला ना, आईपी, ठीक है, तब ये नहीं आएगा ना डिफॉल्ट पोर्ट। ठीक है। अच्छा ये आएगा, पर इसकी वैल्यू मतलब 443 ही जाएगी, लेकिन वो इसे चेंज नहीं कर सकता, राइट? देखो यहाँ पर ना, इन्होंने भाई साहब इन्होंने क्या किया हुआ है, वैलिडेशन, हाँ इन्होंने लिखा है, एक सेकंड ना, कहाँ गया यार इनका। ये रहा। ठीक है देखो, it will do some preliminary checks on the validity। अब देखो, अच्छा इन्होंने यहाँ पर ये दिखा, अच्छा ओके ओके, इंक्लूड सब डोमेन इज फॉल्स, हाँ ये वाला नहीं, पोर्ट वाला नहीं, हाँ ये वाला है ना, इसको डिसेबल करना पड़ेगा मुझे। कि ये इन्होंने डिसेबल कर रखा ना, यू कैन क्लिक टू डिलीट दैट इंडिविजुअल्स लाइन। ये देखो ना, ये दिख रहा ये ब्लैंक, अरे ये देखो टेक्स्ट लिखा हुआ है इन्होंने, यू कैन ओनली इंक्लूड सब डोमेन व्हेन द टारगेट इज नॉट एन आईपी एड्रेस, इट इज अ वैलिड डोमेन एंट्री। ठीक है, तो यानी इसके केस में हाँ, इसको मुझे इस फॉल्स करना भेजना पड़ेगा ऑटोमेटिकली, मतलब ये हाँ सामने ये दिखेगा नहीं। हाँ हाँ, और फिर ऊपर से ये डायनेमिक है तो और दिक्कत होगी। हाँ, क्योंकि ये, चलो ऐसा करता हूँ, मैं इसको करता हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे ना इसमें जब उठाना है हर बार नेम आ रहा है, जैसे मैं ऐड करूंगा, ऐड मोर। हाँ, वो तो मैं समझ गया जो तुम कह रहे हो, सब डोमेन। हाँ, उस केस में हो जाएगा, आईपी आईपी डाला उसने, उसके आगे कुछ भी टेक्स्ट डाल दिया। बट ये कॉम्प्लेक्स क्या है फिर मतलब, हाँ वैसे देखा जाए यूजर पर्सपेक्टिव से, यूजर जो अगर आईपी डाल रहा है तो आईपी डालेगा, राइट? तो मुझे बस ये, हाँ मुझे इसके रजिस्टर में ये चेक, हाँ तो मुझे ना इसके इसके डॉट्स भी चेक नहीं करने, लाइक आईपी के। मुझे सिर्फ ये चेक करना है, इसके डॉट्स पता है क्यों चेक करना है? कि इसको मैं डिसेबल कर सकूं, इससे मुझे मतलब नहीं है ना? हम्म। हाँ ठीक, ठीक है। लेकिन हाँ, लेकिन यहाँ पर देखो ना, मान लो तुम हो यूजर, ठीक है, तुमने यहाँ पर डाला facebook.com, ठीक है, तुम्हें इसका पोर्ट पता है तो तुमने अपना पोर्ट भी टाइप कर लिया, राइट? और तुम चाहते हो हाँ हाँ, 443, ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है। देखो नहीं, मतलब ये समझो कि एक यूजर है, वो गया, उसने यहाँ पर डाला test2.com, ठीक है, उसने बाय डिफॉल्ट से, चलो ऐसा दिखा, उसने बोला नहीं इसका पोर्ट तो ये नहीं है, ठीक है, और ये उसने डाल दिया पोर्ट 32, राइट मे बी। फिर उसने कहा कि इसका सब डोमेन मैं चेक करना चाहता हूँ, ओके, ठीक है, तो हम हाँ हाँ, अब देखो ये तो एक एक सिनेरियो हो गया, उसमें हम पहले वाले में क्या चेक करा रहे हैं कि फर्स्ट वाला हमारा एंटर मतलब मैंडेटरी है। अब मान लो सेकंड वाला है, अब ऐसे बहुत सारी कंडीशन बन सकती हैं, बट हमें जो मीरो बोर्ड के अकॉर्डिंग जो हमें मिल रहा है फिलहाल, हम सिर्फ इसको लेके चलेंगे, मतलब दो तीन जो वैलिडेशन दिखती हैं, जैसे उसने कहा ना कि इट विल डू सम प्रिलिमिनरी चेक्स इन द वैलिडिटी ऑफ द एंड on the entry, check that the address to the general structure of the public facing domain or IP address or range. The IP range cannot be in excess of 25 plus, क्या ये क्या 25 प्लस है? 254, ओके। आईपी रेंज नॉट बी इन द एक्सेस ऑफ, अरे भाई ठीक है, तो एक रेंज ये हो गई, एक तो हमें ये चेक करना है, दूसरा ओके, वो भी फर्स्ट वाले का। 254 कौन सा वाला होना चाहिए? ये 5, हाँ 5 या 2, ये 254 से, हम्म, सारे नंबर्स, ओके। ओके, यानी किसी बंदे ने रॉन्ग डाली है, लेकिन ये हम चेक करवाएंगे इसे, क्योंकि ये तो उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है ना, उसकी मर्जी भाई, मतलब वो उसको जो डालना होगा वो रियल वैल्यू डालेगा ना, ऐसे फेक वैल्यू थोड़ी ना डालेगा टेस्ट के लिए। हाँ, जो वो डालना होगा तो कर लेंगे, नहीं तो फंक्शन बना लेंगे। हाँ दिखाई दो स्क्रीन शेयर करके। पर बाकी यानी हमारे यहाँ पर तीन हो गए, एक तो 54 वाला हमें रखना है, ठीक है, और रेंज वाला जो अगर हम ना भी चेक करें, मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल उसने हाइफन लगाया है, इसके बाद डॉट्स पूरे प्रॉपर रखे नहीं रखे, ये हमारे लिए मैटर नहीं करता, वो उसको डालना है, ठीक है, वो प्रॉपर डाल रहा नहीं डाल रहा। फिर हमें चेक करना है कि इसमें न्यूमेरिक वैल्यू है सारी, तो हमारा ये डिसेबल हो जाए, ठीक है। तो ये दो चीज करनी है, यानी 254 प्लस ये, राइट। क्योंकि हम ज्यादा वैलिडेशन नहीं लगाना चाहते। हम्म, ओके, मतलब इसने दो रेंज दिए हैं अलग अलग। हम्म, ओके, हम्म, IP6, IP6 तो हमारे पास इसमें बताया नहीं इन्होंने IP6 का। हाँ, 6 में तो फिर बहुत हो जाए। ओके, पैकेज यूज करें या ना करें? आ, हम्म, हाँ, ओके, लेकिन हमें हमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं करना, हमें सिर्फ ये करना है कि हमें सिर्फ इतना चेक करना है कि हमारा IP 254 से ऊपर नहीं है, दैट्स ऑल। ओके, चलो ठीक है, एक बार ऐसे करते हैं, मैं मैनुअल करके देख लेता हूँ कि मैनुअली जो अगर मैं हैंडल कर लेता हूँ यही सेम, क्योंकि ये तो इन्होंने पैकेज बना के दिया है, बट एक जर्नल हमें मैनुअल भी मिल ही जाएगा, राइट, है ना। हाँ, हाँ, तो हाँ, सारा ही बना हुआ है। हम्म, तो उसने बना रखा है सबके लिए। हम्म, नहीं नहीं नहीं, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, ये 5 है, इसलिए रिजेक्ट हो गया। हाँ, यही चल जाएगा, लिंक ही शेयर कर दो इसको, यही चल जाएगा फालतू में। अब पैकेज भी नहीं डालते, ठीक है, सिंपल वेरिएबल में वहां पर रजिस्टर चेक करो। हाँ हाँ, क्योंकि हमारा मेजर नहीं है ना आईपी, जो आईपी में ही हम पूरा खेल रहे होते तो शायद। रेंज वाले के लिए देखना पड़ेगा मेरे ख्याल से, इसी रिजेक्ट में, पता नहीं पहले ना, बहुत पहले। हम्म, पहले रेजेक्स क्रिएट भी करता था मैं, मतलब डायरेक्ट नहीं आता था, मुझे दिया था दोस्त ने कि ये रहा रेजेक्स का पेज, भाई साहब सिंपल सा एक सिंगल पेज में है पूरा रेजेक्स, मतलब नथिंग एल्स, कोई डॉक्यूमेंटेशन नहीं, कुछ नहीं है, तुम खुद का बना सकते हो। मे बी हम ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं कि जब हम रेंज लिखेंगे ना, रेंज, ठीक है, तो उसको ना स्प्लिट में हम्म, हम्म, हाँ ऐसे कर सकते। हम्म, अब मेरे ख्याल से ये भी कर सकते हैं हम कि वैलिडेशन के टाइम पे जब वो आईपी डाले और उसको, मतलब या तो इवेंट ऑन चेंज इवेंट या कुछ इवेंट पे ना चेक करवा दें उसका, कि इसके अंदर जो वैल्यू है उसको स्प्लिट कराई, मतलब जो अगर उसके पीछे हाइफन है, इफ हाइफन है तो उसको स्प्लिट करा दिया, फिर दोनों आईपी को चेक कराया, ठीक है, और फिर इसके बाद एरर थ्रो कर दिया, थोड़ा सा मतलब। ओके। हम्म। हाँ इसने तो पूरा नीचे एग्जाम्पल दे रखा, अरे इसका। हम्म, ठीक है, हम फिलहाल इसके दो ही पिक करते हैं। एक तो आईपी एड्रेस चेक कराना, लाइक ऑन, मतलब एम टी आईपी एड्रेस है उसके बेस पे एम टी वो कर देना, डिसेबल कर देना, डोमेन वाला वो करता हूँ मैं, ठीक है। दूसरा आईपी एड्रेस के रेंज लाइक 254, ठीक है, वाला, दैट्स ऑल। हम्म, 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 ये तो फिर सजेस्ट करना पड़ेगा नहीं। हाँ, लेकिन ये इनको सजेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, फिर ये बोलेंगे कि हाँ ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं यूजर, या नहीं हमने ऐसे सोचा नहीं है, क्योंकि इन्होंने इसके ऊपर बात तो करी होगी। अब इन्होंने क्या बात करेगी हमें पता नहीं। जैसे मैंने लाइनस को कह दिया था, मैंने कहा यूजर को क्लिक करते ही उसे डिसेबल कर देंगे, तो कहता क्यों। तो मैं समझ गया कि यार, है ना, इन्होंने सोचा होगा कि जरूरत नहीं है। हाइफन मैचिंग टू। ओके ओके, मिल गया ये तो। हाँ, you may want to consider not using the regular expression. This is much easier and more readable problem to solve with split. हाँ, वही वही क्या हुआ, स्प्लिट किया। हाँ हाँ। ओके, मिल गया, ये वही था जो हम सोच रहे थे कि ऐसा कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, इसको उठा दो। कॉपी पेस्ट। मेरे ख्याल ऑन चेन इवेंट में लगा के देख लें अभी, उसके उसमें है। अ, हाँ, मैं इसी में कर देता हूँ एक। change में। हम्म हम्म। अरे ये भैया, इनका मालिक है पॉल, और ये ना बैकएंड में कुछ नहीं करवाना चाहते, इसीलिए मेरे ख्याल से रिएक्ट में भी लेके आए हैं ये प्रोजेक्ट। ठीक है, और ये चाहते हैं कि सब कुछ फ्रंट एंड में ही हो, बैकएंड में कुछ लोड ही ना पड़े, मतलब बैकएंड में कुछ हो ही ना। ठीक है, जो फ्रंट एंड में सर्वर होता ना, तो ये सब कुछ फ्रंट एंड में ही करवा देते हैं कि भाई ये भी ना डेटाबेस फ्रंट एंड में ही सेव करा दो, बैकएंड चाहिए नहीं, है ना। हम्म हम्म। हाँ, पर ये लोग एज्यूम करके यही चलते हैं कि यूजर के पास अच्छी मशीन होगी, मतलब क्योंकि यूजर इनका अमीर होगा, और क्या। यूके। अच्छा, तुमने एक फंक्शन बनाया है, हैंडल चेंज इनपुट। ठीक है, इसी के अंदर डालना पड़ेगा आई गेस मुझे, है ना। डायनेमिक। इफ वेयर। तो इनपुट के लिए तुमने क्या दिया इसमें, इंडेक्स में तुमने पैरामीटर तो पास किया ना, एक इंडेक्स पास किया तुमने, एक इवेंट पास किया। ठीक है, ये वाला अब तुमने हैंडल पास किया हुआ है ना इसमें, तुमने दोनों में ही किया है, बट ये इनपुट में हो गया ना, ऑन चेंज इवेंट हो गया ना ये। ठीक है, तो इसमें वैल्यू भी पास, वैल्यू चेक करानी है। ठीक है, कि वैल्यू क्या है। ये आ गया तुम्हारा। ठीक है, अब यहाँ पर तुमने इफ कंडीशन पहले ही लगाई है कि वैल्यू के लिए, इंडेक्स और इंडेक्स के लिए लगाई है ना तुमने। अच्छा, ये वाला पोर्ट है फर्स्ट वाला, तो यही चाहिए मैं। तो, तो यहाँ पर मैं करता हूँ इफ पोर्ट इक्वल टू नहीं, पोर्ट की वैल्यू चाहिए मुझे, है ना। ओके ओके, तो मैं इसका एक बार वेरिएबल में कर लेता हूँ इसको, वैर चेक कर। पोर्ट ये अच्छा, ये वाले पोर्ट इसके लिए। अच्छा, एक सेकेंड। नंबर भिजवाना है। हाँ, तुमने % किया हुआ है, ये तुमने पोर्ट के लिए, तो तुमने इसके लिए ये वाला है हमारा, ठीक है, फर्स्ट होस्ट, राइट, डोमेन नेम, हैंडल चेंज इफ पोर्ट इक्वल टू, ओके, इक्वल टू पोर्ट, तो ये आ जाएगी वैल्यू, एल्स, हाँ, यहाँ पर एक सेकेंड, इनपुट, ठीक है, इसको मैं कर देता हूँ स्प्लिट, फिर IP इसका फंक्शन क्या था, ठीक है, IP हो गया ना तुम्हारा वैल्यू, तो वैल्यू डॉट स्प्लिट हो जाएगी, फिर दो वैल्यू में उठाना है, हमेशा इनकी रेंज दो में ही रहेगी ना, हमेशा हाइफन, मतलब दो से ज्यादा नहीं है ना, ठीक है, IP तो फिर इसके लिए मेरे ख्याल से एक थर्ड एल्स, इफ एल्स में थर्ड कंडीशन बनानी पड़ेगी जिसमें चेक करना पड़े इफ डॉट इज इक्वल टू नंबर, जो वैल्यू है वो नंबर है, बट काइंड ऑफ ये इसी में आ गया, मतलब इसी फंक्शन में आ जाएगा, राइट, है ना, पूरा का पूरा, और यहीं पे चेक हो जाएगा। ऐसा करते हैं, एक तीसरा वो लेते हैं, तीसरी कंडीशन ले लेते हैं, थर्ड, है ना, इफ वैल्यू इक्वल टू इवेंट टारगेट डॉट वैल्यू इक्वल टू नंबर, नंबर में आ जाता है डायरेक्ट, इफ ये जो हमारी वैल्यू है ना, इवेंट टारगेट वैल्यू, ये पूरी नंबर है, इसके लिए कोई कंडीशन रेजिक्स लगाना पड़ेगा, कोई कंडीशन लगानी पड़ेगी, इसको हटा दो। यहाँ पर क्या देंगे हम, डायरेक्ट नंबर डिफाइन करने में आ जाता है इसमें, नंबर है ना। मैं ये चाह रहा हूँ कि इफ मैं ये चेक करता हूँ ऑन चेंज इवेंट पे कि वहां पर अल्फाबेट नहीं है उसमें कोई। हाँ, और उसको यहाँ इफ कंडीशन में पास कर दो कि जो वैल्यू है ना, उसमें इक्वल टू या नॉट इक्वल टू मतलब ओके रेजिक्स इज नॉट अ नंबर। इसको ऐसे कर सकते हैं, नॉट इक्वल टू हो जाएगा ये, है ना। ठीक है, नॉट इक्वल टू, है ना। नैन ठीक है, इसको नॉट अ नंबर। हम्म, इज नॉट अ नंबर। ठीक है, इज नॉट अ नंबर, पर ये तो नंबर है। हाँ हाँ। हाँ, वो सब पे ही चेक करेगा हर बार, ये तो है इसमें। लेकिन फिर हम उसे कैच भी कैसे करेंगे? देखो यहाँ पर ना मल्टीपल वो है, ये हमारे मल्टीपल हो सकते हैं, राइट। और जो तुमने ऑन चीज इवेंट बनाया है वो सबके लिए आता है, इसके लिए भी आता है, इस पे भी आता है, इस पे भी आता है, राइट, है ना। तो वो हर बार चेक तो करेगा ही, तो जिस पे उसको फिर हमें ऐसे करना पड़ेगा कि जिस पे उसे दिखे कि यहाँ पर वैल्यू है नॉट अ नंबर, मतलब इस वाली कंडीशन पे आ गया, तो मान लो सेकंड कंडीशन हम कैच कर रहे हैं जिसमें हम चेक कर रहे हैं नंबर के लिए, तो यहाँ पर चेक हो गया। यार ये तो बहुत, एक इसमें मेरे ख्याल से अंदर इसमें भी चेंज करना पड़ेगा। यहाँ पर तुमने कैसे कॉल किया है इसको? डिव में कॉल किया है। ये है ना कॉलम, रो, रो को ही वो कर रहे हो ना तुम मल्टीपल टाइम, इस फॉर्म को। मेरे ख्याल फॉर्म के बेस पे करना पड़ेगा फिर हमें चेक हर बार, क्योंकि अ, ये तो फिर ऐसा हो जाएगा, जो अगर इसका चाइल्ड, जो चाइल्ड है उसके अंदर वैल्यू आईपी की है, ठीक है, आईपी रेंज की है, तो उसका जो फॉर्म है, ठीक है, पहले तो वो कंडीशन कर लेगा 25 और वो 255 वाली, लेकिन जो उसका चाइल्ड है उसके मतलब जो उसका पेरेंट है उसके अंदर में जो सब पड़ा है, सब डोमेन नेम, ये डिसेबल हो जाएगा, राइट, है ना। ओके, हाँ 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 हाँ, एक सेकेंड। इफ इसमें ओके, ये तो काफी ज्यादा चेंजेस हैं इसमें। चलो ठीक है, मैं ऐसा करता हूँ, इसे करता हूँ चेंज को और तुमको दिखाता हूँ इसे, ठीक है। तो मेरे ख्याल से पेरेंट्स के बेस पे ही मुझे उठाना पड़ेगा, और ये डायनेमिकली भी चेक करवाना पड़ेगा ऑन चेंज पे, इवेंट पे बस यही हिट करे, मतलब ऐसा हो कि बेटर है कि इसको चेंज करूँ तो मैं सिर्फ यही हिट करे, ना कि ये दोनों हिट करें, है ना। हाँ हाँ, उस पे ऑन चेंज इवेंट पे यही होंगे। हम्म, हाँ, तो मतलब ये पूरा ही हो गया है, ये पूरा बेसिकली जो वो 10 यूज करता है तो 10 बार चेक होगा। हम्म, हम्म। ओके। ठीक है, मैं इसका कुछ सोच फिर उसका एक सॉल्यूशन ये है कि जो इंडेक्सिंग कह रहे हो ना, जो फॉर्म है ना यहाँ पर, ठीक है, क्लास है ना, इस पे ही इंडेक्स लगेगा पहला। ठीक है, जो इंडेक्स इस पे लगेगा, वो जो इस पे लगेगा। ठीक है, लेकिन यहाँ पर हमें ना एक जब पेज लोड हो रहा है ना, लोड डायनेमिकली। अच्छा, अच्छा, तुमने यहाँ पर इंडेक्सिंग यहाँ कहाँ दिया है इसमें? तुम क्या, आईपी रेंज रिक्वायर्ड। ठीक है, यानी मुझे तीन चीजें करनी है। मुझे पेरेंट पे लगाना है, एक तो पेरेंट के बेस पे ही चेक कराना है ताकि मैं उसको डिसेबल कर सकूं। सेकंड, मुझे डोमेन। ओके, ओके, ठीक है। वैल्यू पे वैलिडेशंस, एक इस पे वैलिडेशन लगानी है मुझे कि इसमें डॉट कॉम सिंगल डॉट ही होना चाहिए, राइट, और उसके बाद कोई ना कोई वैल्यू होनी चाहिए। हम्म। 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 ओके, ओके, यानी मुझे पूरा ये पिक करके इसके बेस पे चेक कराना पड़ेगा और फिर उसके बाद ऐड करना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, यानी मुझे, और इसमें मुझे तीन वैलिडेशन लगानी है। एक तो ये होगी डोमेन वाली, जो उसने बोली नहीं है लेकिन हम लगा देंगे। दूसरा आईपी रेंज, ठीक है। तीसरा, इसको डिसेबल करना आईपी रेंज के लिए। ओके, ठीक है। हम्म। ठीक है। हम्म। हम्म। ये वाला हो गया ना ब्रेक, इसने ऐसे यूज किया हुआ है। ठीक है, इनवैलिड, इनवैलिड आईपी, और नहीं तो फिर सीधा आएगा वैलिड, एल्स वैलिड, और वो दिख जाएगा। पॉल ने दिया आंसर। जस्ट डेवलपर। ठीक है। मैंने दो, दूसरी बार बनाया था। पहली बार में तो अच्छे आंसर किए थे, पर हमारा ब्लैक लिस्टेड हो गया था एक दूसरे टिक मारने के चक्कर में, फिर डिलीट ही कर दिया मैंने। फिर सेकंड टाइम में बनाया तो आंसर ही नहीं है, मतलब 190 पॉइंट्स है बस मेरे, इसमें होगा पता नहीं। जी मेल। हाँ, पर कुछ पॉइंट्स भी होने चाहिए ना क्वेश्चन पूछने के लिए भी, तुम्हें मिनिमम 10 या समथिंग पॉइंट चाहिए, तभी तुम पूछ सकते हो। ऐसा कुछ है, जैसे मेरे 192 है तो इतने ही है। हाँ यहाँ पर ये रहा, तुम्हें लॉग इन करोगे ना, ये लॉग आउट कहाँ से होता है? ऐसे कैसे? प्लीज कास्ट योर, मेरा है 192, ये वन नंबर पता नहीं, रेपुटेशन गेन सिंस योर लास्ट विजिट टू द रेपुटेशन टैब, पता नहीं कहाँ से गेन हुई है, माइनस भी होती है इसमें रेपुटेशन सब होता है। एक बार मैंने कुछ क्वेश्चन का आंसर डाला, उसने बोला कि नो आई एम नॉट लुकिंग फॉर दिस, मैं कहा यही तो है, बट भाई उसने माइनस डाल दिया। मैंने कहा हद है, तो मैंने डिलीट मार दिया क्वेश्चन का आंसर। तुम टाइम पीरियड होता है उसका कुछ कि इतने टाइम बाद डिलीट मार सकते हो या इतने टाइम तक ही मार सकते हो, जब तक उस पर किसी ने रिस्पॉन्स ना किया हो कुछ। जो तुमने किसी ने एक बार कर दिया ना उसे, तो फिर डिलीट नहीं कर सकता, ऐसे कुछ है। हम्म, चलो ठीक है, मैं करता हूँ इसको, थोड़ा लंच करके आता हूँ, ठीक है ना? तुम किस पे देख रहे हो? अच्छा, ओके ओके ओके, हाँ अकाउंट आईडी लोड। हाँ हमें इन्हें कुछ दिखाना है, हमें बताना है सिर्फ हमें कि हमारा प्रीवियस हो चुका है। हाँ प्रीवियस हो चुका है हमारा, और तो स्टोरी है नहीं, है ना? बाकी प्रशांत से कॉल, ठीक है शाम को मिलते कॉल पे। उससे पहले कुछ होगा तो मैं तुम्हें दिखाता हूँ, ठीक है? ये चेंजेस करके, और बाकी और क्या है, और तो कुछ नहीं है, ठीक है? क्रिएटिंग बार डायग्राम, सीएसएस, चलो फिर, ओके ओके बाय।
mid-wickets.
I want to tell you something.
Have you forgotten it?
No.
Go on,
I
tell me.
you something? Okay.
Yes, of course you can.
I spoke to Lord Botham last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you now?
Yeah.
You get all the exclusives, don't you?
Oh God, no,
And it's our new Katie in terms of name dropping.
Ever since we'd allowed her to meet Gary Sobers. Anyway, here is Bumrah bowls defended again to one of, I think, just 2 mid-wickets now. And there is no run. Why were you talking to Lord Botham?
Yeah, I better put that into context, really. I was on a Zoom event with the world's best cricket club thing that Simon Hughes runs.
The world's best cricket club book.
No, the world's best cricket club, I think it's called. And
what is it? Some sort of podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Bumrah is in, bowls to Root. Oh, I think he tried to take that one away from Root this time, but Root covers up in defence, which is to mid-off. So you didn't have him all to yourself?
No, exactly. So I was just trying to big it up a little bit. No, he had Ian Botham on, and then I did ask him a question then.
What did you ask him?